Hello and welcome to the Tabletop Games blog Play With Me, a live stream. Today we're playing Euphoria by Stonemaier Games, which has been around for quite a while. I'm going to do a little rules teach again, so I'm going to be extra nervous as last time. And then we're going to play a 3-player game of this. None of the people on the stream, including myself, have played this game, so this is going to be very interesting. And if you're watching this, if you're in the chat, obviously say hello and maybe you can give us some tips, but we'll see. So let me first say hello. First of all, my name is Oliver, as you probably know, and I've got two of my friends here, if that's okay, if I can call you both friends. Tom, first of all, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you, very well.
And we've got Jamie as well, my new friend.
Of course you can call me a friend as long as I can call you a friend as well, and you, Tom, as well. Hello there.
Hello.
Welcome, yeah, of course. I think we've played so many games together now, we're technically, certainly board game friends.
So that's pretty good.
So we are, as I say, playing Euphoria, which is a sort of worker placement or actual sort of dice placement game. It looks quite complicated. I'm actually going to switch to the screen. We're going to play it on Tabletopia, and I'll probably have to set up some camera angles in a minute, but this sort of gives you a rough overview. So I'm going to start by just reading the introduction to Euphoria from the rulebook. You were young when you discovered the truth about the world. You'd always considered your society a utopia. The word dystopia wasn't even in your vocabulary or your dictionary. When you learned the truth, you had a choice: run away or stay to make your mark on the world. You chose to stay. That was years ago. Now you wonder if you made the right choice. But you've come too far to look back now. You're on the brink of doing something big, of wresting control away from your oppressors. You've acquired 2 workers, and you have access to more. Thanks to the strength of your allegiance to various factions, you've recruited experts to help you with your master plan. You're poised to take the next step. What are you willing to sacrifice in the present to make the future better than the past? Yeah, it's a bit of a long intro. But there we are, that's Euphoria. We're trying to build a better dystopia. I think there's a couple of things we might have to set up. I'm just having a quick look on the board, but we'll sort it out. So what we see in front of it is a worker placement game. We actually got 4 players set up. There's a green player which we won't use, but I'm just going to leave it there. So you guys can obviously ignore those bits on there. So I'll be the red player in the middle there. Tom, you the white player, and Jamie, you're the blue player.
Okay.
So let me, as I say, try and give you a rules teach, and obviously Tom, Jamie, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. But basically this is a dice placement game, so we both start with the 2 dice, the 2 workers we've got, which we'll roll at certain times, and the aim of the game is to place 10 stars. So we each have 10 stars and stacks of 5 there, and there's various places where you can put them throughout the game and the different ways of doing that. But basically, a bit like in Scythe, as soon as someone places their 10th star, the game immediately ends. So there's no finishing the round or anything like that. So even though we'll have a first player, as the game progresses, that sort of first player advantage over doesn't really make much difference. So I think I will start with the various action spaces and the types of actions you can do. So whenever you want to take an action, you have to obviously have a worker available. So one of your dice in hand, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And if I on screen actually zoom into the player board, I'm actually going to probably save this as a camera there. Bear with. So it's camera 1. So if we're looking on the board, I think the first space to look at, or the first type of space, in these hex areas, you see a dotted line with a triangle arrow. If I put my hand maybe here on the left, and zoom in. So that space is what they call a temporary use space. So you can place 1 dice there, and then either you yourself or someone else can actually bump you out of that space and you get your dice back, and someone else places there instead. So these are the temporary spaces. There's quite a few of those, let's say, all the way around the board. Whenever you see that, and I think they're pretty much always in a hex space, apart from the very bottom left, and there's a couple of spaces there. So these are the temporary ones. So room for only 1 dice, and another dice placed there bumps out the dice that was already there. The second type of space is actually covered up. If you follow me over here, these are the mines, and underneath there will be, again, temporary spaces, but these are in a specific color. So they only be able to be used if you have a certain, what they're called, I'm trying to find the name for that. I'll have a look at that in a minute. But it's basically a certain type of card that is that color that you can place there. But at the moment, those aren't available. But they're technically temporary use spaces, but only exclusive to certain factions, basically.
Okay.
The next type of space is here in the middle, and there's a few more of those. It's sort of big rectangles. Here you can place as many dice as you want, or as many dice can be placed here as from different people or the same person. There is no limit how many can go in there. And again, how they work, I will explain. But basically, you don't bump anyone out there. So you can see if you place the dice here, eventually you will run out of workers and you will need to retrieve them, and we'll come to that. And then the last space is here, for example, on the left here next to these blue squares. These are one-time use spaces. So you place a worker there, and again, you can't be bumped out of here, but only one worker can go into those spaces. And that's pretty much all the three types. It can be a bit confusing. I find the iconography a bit confusing sometimes. So basically, you want a sort of pale grey background. That's a worker space, whereas the dark grey backgrounds are things you usually have to pay. Okay. So, for example, over here on the left in the Hex Space, the dotted lines, that's a worker space, but the box to the left of that isn't. That's something you have to pay. So far, so good for the action spaces?
Yeah, that all makes sense.
I believe so, yeah.
So that's the basic thing. So as a bump space are quite good because you can keep bumping things out. And I will explain all these spaces sort of bit by bit. They all are very similar. They're sort of basically on the board. Maybe I'll start with that. There's 4 areas. We start at the top. The Icarites are at the very top, sort of the green spaces. So starting there with the hex here, and then there's 3 squares, and then another space there, and then there's the Icarite territory, sort of in a star shape, and there's 4 spaces available there, and I think we have to actually block one off in a minute, but we'll sort that out. Then if we move to the center left of the area, we have the Euphoria area. Again, they have the hex space there, couple of rectangles, so a couple of squares and a rectangle there, and again the Euphorian territory, and they have a tunnel, the Euphorian tunnel, which the Icarites don't have. They don't have tunnels. And then on the same sort of area, but on the right, we've got the Wastelanders. So again, they have same hex. They basically have the same sort of thing with a tunnel as well. And then at the bottom, we have the Subterran area, again with the hex space, 2 squares, rectangle, the territory, and the tunnel. So the Euphorian, Wastelanders, and Subterran basically work very similarly in what you can do there in the action spaces, whereas the Icarites are a little bit different. They don't have a tunnel, and they have slightly different things there. These 4 areas then also relate in the bottom right to the allegiance tracks. So you can see the top track is for the Euphorians, the middle one is for the Subterrans, then you've got the Wastelanders and the Icarite at the bottom there. And during the game, we'll basically change the allegiance tracks, which is more like a bonus track. So as these tokens move along, they'll actually give that faction certain bonuses as it further goes along that track. Okay, so allegiance doesn't necessarily mean that you are specifically aligned to them, but it basically means more people are in allegiance with that faction, which means if you then use that faction's abilities, you might get bonuses. So let's maybe describe the sort of 3 bottom factions, the Euphorians, Wastelanders, and the Subterrans. So they all work very similar. So if we go over to the Euphorian area on the left there, into the hex space, let's say all the others will work very similar. So we have this dotted space where we can place a worker. Remember, that's a temporary space. And to the left of it, it shows you what you have to pay. And these are what they call artifact cards. They'll become clear what they are. You'll have some of those in hand. So you place your worker there, you pay your 3 cards, and then underneath in circles, you then get bonuses. One is a matter of placing a star in the circle. So that's an opportunity to place a star. And where you can place it, I'll again explain in a minute. And you also move the Euphorian allegiance track marker 1 space to the right. So the more often that happens, that marker will move along. So that's the first thing. So here's an opportunity to place one of your stars. Oh, have we lost someone? No, all there? Okay. Oh, we got Richard watching as well. Hello, Richard. I just saw in the Discord. I'm not keeping a look in the Twitch chat. Oh, there we go. What's going on here then? He says, hello, Richard. Yeah, we're just explaining Euphoria. So yeah, so that's one opportunity. And I would say the same is for the Wastelanders and the Subterrans as well. Where you can place stars is in 2 places for the Euphorians. One could be in the Euphorian territory, and there technically is only 3 spaces available, 1 per player. So not 4, as you can see here. There's 2 spaces blocked off. There should actually be 3 blocked off. So I don't know whether we've got another of those tokens we can use.
No, there should only be 2 blocked off.
In a 3-player game?
It's blocked. Yeah, you need to have the number of tiles exposed per number of players, I think.
Yeah, so at the moment we have 4 spaces exposed. Actually, the center space is technically also a space. Because this is potentially a 6-player game.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I think we've actually got 4 players set up on the board from
exactly.
what I can see.
Yeah, so I'm just going to basically put 1 token sort of maybe there. Maybe, yeah, I'm not going to worry about rotating it. Maybe you can do the same for the others. Perfect. And there's 1 more for the Wastelanders over there. If, I drag that one down there. So that's 3 territory spaces. And, 1 person could have all 3 if they wanted to. So it's basically first come, first served. So trying to get your stars in can be important. And then the other place is actually these blue squares. Well, actually, you can't place them on the blue squares yet. These are called markets. So at the moment, wherever you see the blue square, that's actually a face-down tile that needs to be, it's basically a construction site that will eventually become a constructed market. At that point, it will be flipped over, shuffled to the side, and I'll do that now. And you can see then reveals another temporary action space as well that then gives you certain bonuses. Okay. Yeah, so once one of these has been constructed, if you go into this Hex Space, you can then place your star onto one of those. No, actually, this is different, sorry. You can place it on there, but let me explain the markets first. So to construct a market in a 2 or 3 player game, we have to cover 2 of these spaces, these 4 spaces to the left of each market. So on the Euphorian area, the top market either needs a brick and then 1 of the 3 gold, or 2 gold, for example. So as long as 2 of these spaces are covered up by a worker, that market gets immediately constructed. Okay. And again, this could be joint effort. This could be 1 person doing it all themselves. And the reason why you might want to do it yourself is because as soon as the market is constructed, anyone who contributed to it puts 1 of their stars onto that market. It gets flipped over and shuffled to the side, and you then get your dice back that have helped build that market. And I say there's only 2 spaces basically. Any of those 2 4 need to be placed. Does that sort of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you place 2 of your workers on there, you only place 1 star on that market. And then the other thing is, and I'm not going to flip them because there's actually certain bonuses you get from the markets as well, and also a disadvantage if you have not contributed to a market or have not otherwise placed a star on that market. There's a certain thing that you will not be able to do. So each market has something like some sort of disadvantage to those people who have not helped make that market happen. Okay, that's
interesting.
Will be revealed underneath. So it's important that obviously we help build the market. But if you haven't had the chance, because obviously in a 3-player game, only 2 people can actually contribute up to 2 people. if you, let's say, if you use that hex space here on the left to place a star, you can, as I say, either place that star on the territory or on a constructed market. So if you have not contributed, there's the opportunity to then place your star on that market, and then you do no longer get that disadvantage. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because that's, I found that a sort of complicated bit of it. But yeah, so either get a worker to build the market and get your star on there, or then later place a worker on that hex space next to it to then place a star on that market. Some of these disadvantages you might not be bothered about and just accept and not worry. Others might be important that you do want to get on there and get your star on there. And of course, as I always say, placing a star anyway. And in all of these spaces, as I say, all of these markets, only one star per player can be on there, so you can't have multiple on there. Whereas in the territory, you can have multiple of your own. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good?
Yep.
Let me explain while we're here, actually, these artifacts cards. So these have these sort of hex backs on them. And there's only a certain number of these cards you can have in your hand. So if you go up to here where you got the heart track, and I'm actually going to remove the green tokens from here. So the heart track indicates how many of these cards you can have in hand at any one time. So you can see to put your marker on this hex space, you need 3 of those cards, yet our hand limit at the moment is only 1. Okay, so you can draw 1 card, but you can never have 3. So you will want to increase that, and there are certain spaces where you can do it in certain ways. You can increase your heart number. So you do want to get it basically up to 3 at the very least. There's one special thing with these 3 cards as well. They all have, I think there's 5 or 6 different artifacts, and they're things like teddy bears and spectacles and notebooks and things, so not necessarily artifacts in sort of common sense. But if you ever have a pair of them, you can place 2 of the same rather than 3 different ones. So that's, if you have a pair of them, it's basically a cheaper way of paying for this space. And wherever you can see the cost of paying 3 of those cards, whenever you have a pair, you can pay 2 instead of 3. Okay, so a hand limit of 2 might be enough in some situations, but you probably do want to be 3. So now that I explained that, let me explain how you get those 2 hearts. So one way is in the bottom left in the worker activation tank. So there's 2 temporary spaces. On the left hand side, you can spend 3 flashes, 3 energy to lose 2, what they call it?
Morale.
Is it morale?
I believe so.
What does it say? No, knowledge. So you can spend 3 energy to lose 2 knowledge and gain a worker. I'm going to explain knowledge in a minute. Or on the right hand space, you can spend 3 water to gain 2 morale, 2 hearts, and a worker. So that's one way of upping your heart track. If you ever go above 6 hearts, you basically stick with 6 morale. That's the maximum you can get. And you're still allowed to use that space to get a worker. So even if you're already at 6, you just ignore gaining those 2 hearts. You just stay where you are, but you still get your worker. And as I say, I'm going to explain the knowledge in a minute. The other way of getting hearts, if you go to the right of the board, there's a key area there. Yeah, I think Jamie is here. So next to the subterranean mine, which says key, retrieve any or all workers. So at some point you might want to retrieve workers because you haven't got any. So you'll be forced to do that. And you have 2 choices here. You can either pay a food, an orange, or a cloud, which is bliss, to get 2 hearts and get as many workers as you want back. You might want to keep one on there. Remember, on the market construction side, for example, you don't want to remove your worker necessarily from there because otherwise you're not contributing any longer. You need to keep your worker on there until that market has been constructed. But you can retrieve it if you wanted to. So as many workers as you want, you can retrieve, and you get 2 hearts. Alternatively, if you don't have the food or the bliss, you can still retrieve your workers, but you lose a heart instead. You lose 1 morale. Okay? And then on that key as well, it explains here, if you have a pair, you can use that instead of paying 3 artifact cards. And it also explains about the construction sites on a 2 to 3 player game. Any 2 of those spaces filled per construction site, and it immediately gets built. Okay? So far, so clear how you get hearts and why you need hearts for your hand limit?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's similar places where you can actually get those cards, those artifact cards. So, for example, next areas I might explain are the tunnels. So if we start with the Euphorian tunnel, so again, there is a temporary worker space here on the far left. You pay an energy, place your worker there, and then whenever you do the tunnel, you move this minor target token. I'm actually probably going to lie it flat if it lets me. And then maybe rotate it around a bit. Is it Q and E? Yeah. So these miners will basically move along one space on that track until eventually they hit the end space. And I don't have to go actually into the last box. Basically 9 spaces along, which is where my hand is here. As soon as I reach that, we'll then remove that relevant blocking token. And then, as you can see, as I say, a new space will become available only for the yellow faction. And I'll explain how you decide whether you're part of it. So you place your worker here, pay your energy, move the miner along a space, and then you take either a gold or 1 artifact card. So that's one way of getting gold or artifact. Okay? And there's probably other spaces. So the Wastelander tunnel has something similar, but gives you brick. And the Subterran tunnel sort of goes in the opposite direction almost to the Wastelander tunnel. That gives you either a stone or a card. And you have to pay water. So far, so clear?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah. And then going back to retrieving workers, that's what I meant to explain. So when you retrieve workers, or whenever a worker gets bumped, basically whenever you get a dice back into your hand, you have to roll all those dice that you get back at the same time. And then you can use them again. At that point, whenever you do a reroll, whether it's with single dice, multiple dice, you have to add the value of this dice. They're basically 6-sided dice. They look a bit different, but they're literally just numbered 1 to 6. You add the number shown on those dice in hand, not on the board, just in hand. Then you go up to the knowledge track at the top here where the head symbol is. And underneath our little heads is actually a plus modifier. So at the moment we're all on +3. So you add 3 at the moment to that dice result. And if that is ever greater than or equals to 16, you have to give up the worker with the highest number on it. If there's multiple with the highest number, then just choose one of them. So say you rolled 2 6s, that's 12, you add the 3, you had 15, you're fine. Obviously, once you get more workers, or once you move up this knowledge track, the modifiers increase. So say you're at the 6 space, +6 space, you roll 2 6s, add 6, you had 18, so you have to give up one of the 6s you rolled and put it back where it basically back into the supply, so you can't use that. So it's something to bear in mind as you increase your worker pool and your knowledge that you might not want to retrieve all workers, because remember, if you leave some workers on the board, it's only the ones that you have in hand at that point that count. So say you have 1 in hand, 3 on the board, you retrieve 1, so you roll that 1 dice you've just retrieved, you add the numbers of the 2 dice in your hand, add the modifier, and check it against the 16. If it's equal or greater, you have to remove one of those workers from your hand. And you can never go below 1 worker, so you're always safe to have 1 worker in your hand, basically. And then this track, like the hard track, basically you can never go above +6 or below +1. In the hard track, you can't go below 1 or above 6. Whenever there is an action that tells you to lose stuff and you cannot lose it, you can still do that action. So when we said about bottom left here, the worker activation tank, for example, at the moment you would lose 2 knowledge, but say you were already at the +1 knowledge, you could still use that worker activation tank to pay your 3 energy, and you wouldn't lose 2 knowledge because you already had 1, and you would still get your worker. So losing hearts or gaining hearts, or losing knowledge or gaining knowledge, doesn't limit you if you're already at the extremes of those tracks.
Okay.
Gone? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
just going to ask how I get one thing, and then I realized because I was just looking at the board. So it's better to lose knowledge than gain knowledge.
Correct. Yeah. And it's better to
Okay.
gain morale. And there's ways also, there will be some cards or some ways of giving other players knowledge. And that's
Okay.
obviously what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to keep these people all stupid, basically, I think, is sort of the theme of it. If they become too aware, then they run off and don't want to be here anymore, so you lost your worker. So you have to then carry on doing your work.
There's kind of a big underlying conspiracy in the game, I think, basically, and the more kind of clued up people get it, and then the more euphoria in the dystopian future starts to crumble.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever there's a circle space, that's a benefit you get. Usually there's an or as well, that you can have one or the other. And let me actually talk about those. So in the tunnel spaces, as I said earlier, so the Euphorian tunnel, you pay an energy, you place your work, and you get either a gold or an artifact card. If we go to the allegiance tracks, let me explain them at this stage. So if you look at the Euphorian allegiance track, the yellow one at the top, when that token moves into the first space, nothing changes. But then when it moves again, from then onwards, whenever you gain an energy, you're actually gaining a second one. Okay? If you gain 3 energy, you only get a 4th one. So it doesn't multiply, but you basically get an additional energy. Similar, obviously, for the other tracks as well. And then as we move further along, you get to these sort of 2 circles with a plus in between. And that applies to the Euphorian tunnel. So when that little diamond shape reaches that part on the track, instead of getting a gold or an artifact card on the Euphorian tunnel, you actually get both. And we're going to put a little token on the tunnel to remind ourselves that we've reached that ability. And we still get the benefits to the left as well. So whenever you generate an energy, you get an additional energy, okay, plus the benefits. And then as it moves further to the right, and then we're coming to the last thing now, I think. Is it the last thing? So the last part of the track is we have to reveal, and I'm just trying to find out what these people are called in the game, so I can use the right terminology. It's further, where is it?
Are they recruits?
Yes, they're recruits. You got it. Yeah. So at the start of the game, if we go to our deck of cards underneath, we actually get 4 cards dealt to us, 4 recruits, and we'll have to choose 2 of those. So those are the cards with the with the EWIS, so Euphoria, Icarite, Wastelanders, and Subterrans on there. So each of us can look at those 4 cards. Not that one, not the wide one that Tom just moved. It's the stack above that. I'm going to explain that in a minute. That's the actually dilemma cards. So you can grab your 4 cards, have a look at them, and they basically represent one of those 4 different factions, and they have basically divided into 2. And I'm going to if I drag one of my cards, am I red? Yeah, I'm red. Okay, I'm dragging from the right stack, and if I zoom that up on screen. So, for example, I've got a Wastelander recruit in my deck of 4 cards, and each card is divided into 2 sections. Basically, on the left-hand side, there's a sort of special benefit. If that recruit is active, and you only have one active at the beginning of the game, whenever you basically do that action, you get that benefit. Whatever it says on your card, you follow that. So at the beginning of the game, out of those 4 cards, we have to choose 2 that we keep. The other 2 get completely discarded out of the game, even though there are potentially ways, I think, of drawing extra recruits later. And then we choose one of those 2 cards, put it face up in front of us. That's our active recruit, and we keep the other one in our hand face down or hidden anyway, which is our inactive recruit. And as I was showing on the track, so when we then reach that last section of the track with that sort of card symbol and the arrow flipping it over. So if we go up on that Euphorian track, anyone who has a Euphorian card in hand or face down then flips it face up, and then that Euphorian recruit also becomes active. And similar with the other tracks. So whenever it hits that specific recruit. So you then have to say, okay, yeah, I have a Euphorian recruit in hand. You flip it face up. So you now have 2 active recruits at that point. Okay. So when you start the game, I don't know what the strategy is. You might want to choose 2 the same. You might want to choose one or the other, because during the game you will start moving several tracks up because you have to get certain resources and things to do things. So you might say, okay, I'm going to start with the Euphorian recruit, and then I'll keep my Icarite maybe hidden because I know I want to do Icarite stuff later. Because eventually, well, I don't know whether they will eventually, but I reckon probably throughout the game most of these tracks will hit that space where you flip them up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last space on each track is a star. And when that space is hit, you put a star on that type of recruit that you have. Obviously, by that point, it will definitely be face up in front of you. Okay. So if you have 2 recruits the same, say 2 Euphorian, as the track proceeds, obviously you have 1 at the beginning face up anyway. Then as the track hits that sort of arrow symbol thing, you flip over your second one at that point. And then when you hit the star, you then put 2 stars down onto your 2 Euphorian recruits. So that might be one strategy to basically, get 2 stars down at the end and finish maybe the game early. I don't know whether that's beneficial or not. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So at the very first game, when I just played it by myself, I basically just chose 2 cards at random because I didn't really know what they mean. And then we have...
I should be doing that myself.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, there probably is a strategy here, but I don't know what that is. Oh, I've got Richard here, by the way, saying he's here for the Jamie hero worship. There we go.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice to be appreciated. Thank you.
I should keep an eye on the chat, really. Yeah. So then the last card that we have in front of us, that will keep secret. But I will actually, I can reveal the green player's card, couldn't I? I should have done that earlier. So if I flip that one over, we'll keep that secret, and that's our dilemma. It's called. And basically, once per turn, instead of doing an action, you can do resolve your dilemma. And obviously it has a certain requirement in the middle. So this one, for example, you need to have an artifact card with a book on it, or play 2 artifact cards. And then, so if you have that possible, then you can decide, instead of doing any other action, so as the actions being either place a worker or retrieve workers or resolve your ethical dilemmas, you then obviously pay your card or cards, and then you choose either the left option or the right option. So you can either, in this case, let workers relax. You can draw 2 recruits and keep 1. So that's one way of getting additional recruits. Or you can place a star on this card. So that's another way of placing a star. So you have to decide. And as I say, at any point during the game, you can do that. Instead of doing your normal actions, you do that. And that's it. That's once per game. There's not going to be any more dilemmas coming your way. Okay? But you have to have also the requirements to do that. Either the specific card or the artifacts, or don't know what the different dilemmas are. There might be other things you need to pay to get them. And I think that's mostly it. There's a couple of things that I haven't explained yet, which might be worth explaining, actually, if you're still ready to absorb a little bit more. You okay, or do you wanna?
I mean, I'm happy. Things are kind of making sense. I mean, I'm kind of happy to dive headlong in, and if I have any questions, I don't know about you, Tom. I mean, I know you've read the rule book as well.
I've had a brief skim read. I think at this stage, probably just rolling dice and moving counters around will probably be more beneficial. I think.
Okay, so just a brief note. Then the only thing is that the big rectangles here, the generators, the numbers above basically mean the total dice values placed there of the dice you've just placed there, as well as anything that's already in there. So if you place a 6, say in the Euphorian generator, you get an energy and you lose a knowledge. If there's already, say, a 3 in there and you place a 6, that's now 9. So you now get 2 energy and you gain a knowledge. And same for the other markets. Okay. So again, if you're the first to place there. And then the other last thing, if you have 2 dice or several dice that show the same number on them, you can actually do multiple actions with all those dice. Okay, so instead of just placing, normally you just place 1 dice, do the thing, and that's it. If you have, say, 2 3s, you can take 1 3, place it, take the other 3, place it somewhere else. But obviously, if you then, for example, bump another dice, then roll another 3 at that point, you can't then use that again. It's basically you have to, at the very beginning of your turn, take all 3s to the side and then place those. Anything that come back into your hand obviously don't count. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. So choose your recruits, place 1, let's say, face up, maybe, I don't know, somewhere where we can see it. I don't know what a good place is. I'm going to plonk it there. So I'm going to use that recruit, and I'm going to choose another one just randomly, put in my hand so people at home can see it. And then I'm going to put this.
Do we draw 4 and choose 2? Is that right?
Yeah, so you should have 4 cards already there, and you just take 2. One you have to put face up as your active recruit, and the other one you put in hand and keep it secret, and only reveal it when that faction needs to be flipped. And I say the active recruits basically define which tunnel you can use once we've gone to the end of those tunnels and those colored spaces become available. So if I have, Euphorian recruit available, I can later on use the wasteland space that they've made available. And basically the idea with those tunnels is they sort of tunnel into the other factions and trying to take advantage of their resources. Is this sort of idea. And I'm going to move that one over here. Right, let me just save some camera positions as well while we're here. And then that one.
So I'm going to put that there. Whoop. No. Don't look. Don't look.
I'm not looking, it's fine. You're not on screen. I can't see you. I'm somewhere completely different.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And over on the left is the discard.
Yeah, I've just chucked mine over there. Yeah.
Cool.
There's another draw pile here as well, but oh yeah, just one thing with the spacing stars. So with the construction sites and the then completed markets, stars goes on there as they're completed, or if you use a hex, Icarites, their markets are already on the board. You cannot place stars on the Icarite markets at the top. They're already completed, you can't contribute to them, and you cannot place stars on them. So for the Icarite, you can only place stars on the Icarite territory. Okay? That's the only difference. Whereas with the others, as soon as the market's completed, you can actually place a star on there using the hex space. Okay.
Sorry.
I've really confused you all, I'm sure.
It's the usual thing of it's a kind of slightly heavier game and you front load a lot of information and everyone goes, what?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to playing, it'll make a bit more sense.
I think, as I say, during the game, you will see that you have to obviously start using different factions, markets and tunnels and things to get the resources you need to do certain things. Obviously, from a matter of retrieving workers to get hearts, if you have food, which is basically the Wastelanders tunnel, sorry, not the Wastelanders, the Wastelanders generator, or farm as it's called, you get food there, or if you use the Icarites spaces at the top there as well, the cloud mine, you get bliss. So investing in those at the beginning helps you get hearts if you want to retrieve workers. But that's, there's also ways of getting, spending water to get a new worker to get hearts. So there's ways of getting hearts in different ways. But there will be, things you need to start doing in different places. So maybe I'm just going to look at my recruit, Brian the viticulturist. I wonder where that's from. I can may use a food in place of a bliss. So an orange instead of a cloud. When you do this at least once on a non-Icarite market, I gain a knowledge and I increase the Wastelanders track by 1 level. I lose a heart to place a worker in Icarus. So that's my benefit. I don't know how good that is, and I'll probably forget it halfway through the game. Then we've got Jamie. Do you want to read out yours if you're
Yes,
there? Yeah.
I have Kyle the Scavenger. When you place a worker on the generator, farm, or aquifer, if that worker is alone, you may gain 2 knowledge to draw an artifact card.
Yeah, so gaining knowledge might not be great, but an artifact is good. So there we go. And remember, as I say, the hand limit is defined by those hearts of those artifacts. And then Tom.
I have Laura the Philanthropist, which is a bit of a mouthful. But when I bump another player's worker from a tunnel or the worker activation tank in the bottom left, I can give that player a gold, I assume.
Yeah.
But if I do, I get to draw 2 artifact cards. And by the way, she is part of the Euphorians.
There is on the right and left here some cards that might help you what the different things are and what they mean if you need them. So white cards, like reference cards. So you can have a look at those as well. So the very first thing we all need to do is roll our dice. So click on it, press the R button, and it should roll it for you. And I say, given where we are, even if we roll 2 6s, we should be safe. All rolled our dice?
Yep.
Tom is still rolling. Okay. So basically, whoever goes first, who's got the highest number in total. So we've got 5 for Jamie, 6 for me, and 7 for Tom. So Tom starts. If you're ready, please. If you want to start. I mean, I'm happy to start if you'd rather.
No, I'm all good, I think. So yeah, that's my dice. Chaps are set, aren't they? So
yeah, and it doesn't matter what number you place. You can bump a worker who's got a higher or lower number. Those numbers don't really mean anything. It's obviously, the higher numbers you have in hand, the more risk of losing workers is due to the knowledge thing. So you want to use your higher value markers workers are the cleverer ones that are more aware. So you want to put them to work so don't think about things, and keep the less aware ones in your hand is sort of the idea, I think, thematically.
No, definitely. And there's something about being able to place multiple workers if they've got the same knowledge.
Yeah. So
also, if that's same knowledge as in number.
Correct. So if you had 2 4s there, you could basically take one turn and place both 4s. But obviously, if you then bump one out and get one back in hand, if you then roll a 4, that 4 doesn't then get also placed. It's only the ones at the beginning of your turn that were a 4 or were the same.
Righty-ho. Sorry, just
shuffling
around and refamiliarizing myself with the user interface again. Right, I'm going to go to the farm, which gets me a food resource.
Yeah.
And advances the allegiance on the Euphorian track by 1.
The Wastelanders.
The Wastelanders, yeah. So that's on the first empty space you put it.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's that dark orange. That's it.
Right.
And you can tell because you just got a food, and those are the food. It's a food track, basically.
I assume, does it start off the track, or does it start in the box that has
it starts off the track. Yeah, it starts off the track. So the very first time you advance it, nothing changes, basically.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, dear, what am I going to do? Panic. That's a good idea. I like panicking. I love panicking.
Yes, remember, food and bliss, so the clouds, the Icarite, and the Wastelanders are good for retrieving workers and getting hearts, which is possibly one thing you want to do, because you can't play stars unless you have at least 2 artifacts the same or 3 artifact cards, and at the moment you can only all hold 1. So basically getting your workers out there, getting some bits might be a good start.
Okay, I'm going to go to Cloud Mine
so
and get myself a Bliss. And could you somebody please bump up the Icarite allegiance by 1?
I'll do that now. There we go.
Pardon me.
Bless you, Tom. There we go. So I will do something very similar. I'm going to grab my number.
Can I also, first of all, very quickly, because I.
Yes.
Never mind. That's why I was an idiot. I should have. Can I?
You can have a take back if you want. Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to go there instead of getting a Bliss and an Icarite thing. I'm going to get a Euphorian because I want to use my my Wasteland, my Scavenger power.
Yeah.
which is if I'm all alone,
yeah,
you may gain 2 knowledge. So a little knowledge is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
That's not me.
So I've reset the allegiance tracks accordingly. So taken the Icarite away and added the Euphorian.
Cute. And I get to draw an artifact card.
Oh, that's over here on the right, yeah. So that you keep secret because we don't want to know whether you've got 2 the same, for example. I mean, you can keep it. It's up to you. And remember, so your hand limit is 1. So if, for example, you have more cards and your hard value goes down, once you've finished your turn, basically you have to discard down to the hand limit at that point. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, so in that case, I'm going to use my number 5 dice to do what I was going to do. I was going to jump off. Stop moving those cards. Let me hide my hand, first of all. There we go. And then move my 5 dice. I was going to just basically put my 1 dice down there because Jamie was up there. So I get a cloud and I get, we move the Icarite track along 1 space. And
do we? Because you're number 5. 5 plus 8 is 1 bliss and -1 knowledge.
Yeah, sorry, but the Icarite track, the allegiance track, sorry, moves along.
No matter what.
No, you're right. Sorry, I was looking in the wrong column. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Let me move that back. See, that's why I don't play by myself. But yeah, I'm basically my knowledge goes down 1, which is even better. So I can now have more workers with less risk. And that's me done.
Cool.
So the hexagonal squares are ones that we can use initially, like the Wind Saloon, for example, and then I assume like the Nimbus Loft and the Breeze Bar and stuff are things that get built from the marketplace.
No, so in the Icarites, they're already built. So that's where the Icarites are different. So those marketplaces are already built. You cannot basically add stars to them either. So they are just there always. So whenever you place stars for the Icarite, let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure the Icarites you cannot place stars either. Artifact markets, Icarus. Yeah, so authority tokens, those stars may not be placed on Icarite markets. That's right. So the only place for Icarite stars, basically authority, is in the territories, and there's only 3 spaces there. But otherwise, those markets are already constructed. Okay. So yeah, Tom's go.
Okay. I'm going to play in the generator, which will take up to 7. So I shall gain I'll gain a energy and lose a knowledge.
Yeah. You're white.
So it takes me down 1.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
Okay, Jamie.
I have. Pick it up, you flipping numpty. I am going to panic.
At the bottom, if you want another spare space, I think, if you wanted to use your hearts again. So what do you get? I don't know. At the very bottom, you got the Aquafire.
That's true. The Aquafire is pretty good, but then again, I have a lot of knowledge.
Okay.
I don't want a lot of knowledge right now.
Fair
I
enough.
am going to... actually, I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to get... This time, I'm going to get a bliss, and I'm going to lose the knowledge.
Correct, yeah. I just realized you don't actually gain hearts, so you gain knowledge. Sorry, I was confused there by the...
Huh?
So that's the way to do it. So that's you get it back down again. Well done. Okay. Okay. What strategy have I got? Let me just remind myself what my recruit's like. I'm going to use food instead of. So I should really support my own faction, shouldn't I? That would make sense, I think, the Wastelander. So if I'm going to place there next to Tom's in the farm, I gain a food now up to 5, so I gain a food and lose a knowledge, which pleases me greatly. And then I am done too. And it's back to Tom. I mean, if you guys want, I can actually switch on turn order, but it might not be worth it. It's just sometimes a good reminder of whose turn it actually is, but we should be okay.
Yeah.
So while Tom is thinking, let me say hello to everyone in the chat. I don't know whether Richard has left now. Might have done. But yeah, hello to all of you there. Feel free to chat and let us know whether you've played Euphoria before. If everything makes sense as well. I've just noticed something in the stream. Don't know whether you guys can actually see what I can see. It looks all very static on here. So I'm just going to change something in OBS. Apologies. Because I think no one can actually see.
No one can see what's going on.
Yeah, that's no good. And I need to change
am I right in thinking that only one of our recruits is kept? The rest are all discarded. Oh no, you got the other one. Sorry,
yeah, you can keep both. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes. Right.
I think you keep 2. I think from what I remember reading.
Okay. Yes, you basically out of the 4 you choose 2. You make one face up, the other one you keep in hand, and then during the game you may get more recruits that you sort of keep face down in your hand to start with. Right, I think that's better. People can see now. I do apologize. That's not very useful. So all those rules teach may not have been very helpful at all, but there we go. Hopefully you pick it up as we're playing. See, that's why you need several people. You need a production manager who checks the stream. You need someone who does the chats and things. Anyway, right, so Tom, did you take your turn? I wasn't watching.
I haven't yet, no. Okay. I was just reading up on morale. I assume it can't go below 1.
No, so those are the limits. But you can, as I say, if something forces you to lose morale, you just don't lose anymore. You can still do that action. The same gaining morale. If you're already at the top and you do an action that gives you more, you can still do that action. You just don't gain anymore.
No, that's fine. So I'm going to retrieve my dice for my action, which means I have to roll them both.
Yeah.
I shall do so.
And then that's actually your action, done as well.
Yeah, that's me done.
You just need
I've
to
got
check
2 4s, which is cool.
So let's just actually do that check. So you got a value of 8 there, and your knowledge is at +2, so it'd be 10. So that's not 16. So we're good. So that's basically what we'd be doing every time we're rolling 1 or more dice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will do the same. I'll retrieve my workers, as said. Oh no!
If you roll double 6.
I've rolled double 6s.
Oh, let's have a look. Over there.
And I'm a +4, so I'm at 16. So one of them.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have to remove one of them, basically put it to one side. You can obviously get them back in the worker activation tank, but that is very unlucky.
Exactly. Still going wrong for Jamie. Everyone knows too much.
Yep, you're trying to educate them too much. Keep them unaware.
I was going to say, your faction are too educated. Terrible show.
Right, so that leaves me retrieving my workers as well. Now, when you guys retrieved it, did you pay a resource or did you just retrieve them?
I retrieved them because
you don't need to pay.
Yeah, but did you then? If you didn't pay, did you lose a heart?
You can't go below 1, and we're all currently at 1.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. Yeah.
That was why I was asking earlier.
Yeah. So yeah, just obviously be aware of that. If you do, once you have more hearts, if you want to retrieve them, you might want to.
I think it's obviously the only time I could foresee that is later in the game when you want your hand size to be above a certain number because you're going to be drawing more artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you obviously will need 3 artifacts to do those tunnel actions, the market actions. So I've got an 8, and I've got a +1, so that's 9, so we're good. So that's Tom's go. So now that Tom has got 2 the same, you don't have to, you can place them both, basically, one after the other. So you do each action one at a time. And you could potentially bump that worker out. So if you go in a temporary space with the first one, you can bump yourself for the second one if you wanted to.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, this is where I have to have a little think really and work out what I'm doing. Right.
That's all right. I'm actually in the meantime going to take the dilemma card into hand so I can actually see it. You can do the same, guys, if you want to. So that's the card underneath your recruit. So you can see what you're working towards. It's probably not important yet, but it might be. So for everyone in the stream, this is my dilemma. So I have to pay either that or 2 artifact cards to get that or that. There we go. Oop.
And sorry, I answered my own question. That's fine.
That's okay. So yeah, you're
right,
going to
I'm
the tunnel.
play. Yeah, I'm playing on my tunnel, so paid the food costs, which gets me a brick or an artifact card. I think I'm going to take a brick. I think.
Yeah, I have to move that one along, which I'll do now. So the miner is now in the first space where the pickaxe is. It seems to rotate itself for some reason. So
if you unlock it for a start and play it, you've locked it.
Did I?
Yes. Yeah. If you just play it slightly off the board, I found, and just use its head it makes it a bit easier rather than covering 3 squares. Okay. So that's that done, and then I'm going to play my second dice.
There we go.
I'm going to just play my second dice on the farm, which gets me a food again. And advances onto the track. So I don't get that bonus, do I, until further advance?
Yeah, so as you move now onto the farm space, basically, next time someone goes on the farm, you get an extra orange, basically.
I do or they do?
Anyone. So the allegiance isn't you specifically. It's not locked to a recruit or anything. It's just anyone who basically goes on the farm now, instead of getting 1 or 2 oranges, they get an additional orange or additional food.
Right, I'm done.
Right then. Welcome to Jamie's No Too Much Extravaganza Bonanza. Right.
I see what you mean, Tom, because you moved onto the farm just now. Yeah, no, that doesn't activate until basically you now reach that. So next time anyone goes onto the farm, not on that turn.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I gotcha.
I'm going to go to the Sky Lounge.
Yeah, so that symbol there means any resource other than bliss. So any food, water, or energy plus 1 bliss.
So I've got energy and bliss.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'll just put them back.
Yeah.
And I get either or?
So no, those you get both.
Cool. So I'll get 1 Icarite allegiance. And what is that?
So these 2 cubes are basically, you choose any combination of brick, stone, or gold, which are on the right-hand side of the screen.
I like that.
And remember, you need the bricks and golds and stone and all that to activate those markets or to complete the construction of those markets.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a clay and a gold.
Okay.
Yeah. Go. Wow.
So you don't know what is under those markets. They're not revealed until you actually construct them.
Okay. Well, I'll take a clay and a stone then.
Okay. And that's you done then. Okay.
Yep, that's me.
Maybe I should start looking at that as well. So I've aligned to there. So that space I could bump Jamie out to do something similar, or I could bump Tom out on the tunnel to get a brick. I think I'm going to bump Tom. So if I return you number 4 dice to your hand, and then you can re-roll it, not to your hand but to your area, and I'm going to place my number 6. And then I say, even though it's not Tom's turn, he still has to do that knowledge check. So if that, total number of dice in his hand was now bigger than, and the modifier bigger than 16 or bigger or equal to 16, you would have had to discard the dice at that point. So I have to pay an orange or a food as well. And then I can have a brick or a artifact, but I'm going to go for the brick. I'm going to see if I can get in on the market action. And then that's me done. So Tom now has a worker back in hand. You can still recall, obviously, the other worker if you wanted to as an action instead of placing them, but depends what you're trying to achieve. Oh yeah, no, I didn't move the miner along. Apologies. I'll do that now.
We all like the Wastelanders, don't we?
Yeah. Looks like it. Except Tom, who's Euphorian, I thought.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking around the board to work out where I'm getting different resources from.
Yeah, I think that's a tricky bit with this board to see. Okay, I need food to get brick, but then I need food to do this as well, and I need brick to do that, and oh, what?
Right, I'm gonna play any Aquifer, I think, which gets me a water resource.
Yeah.
I'll put the Subterran.
Thanks, Jamie. Perfect. Got some nice snap points in this game.
Someone moved it.
Yeah, Jamie's moved that.
Thank you. And that'll be me done.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm just gonna take my work. Oh, where is he? Come on.
I know. I think that's the only tricky bit with Tabletop, to get your workers back. Drag them all.
Take them back. And so.
Oh yeah, you only have one. Sorry.
I only have one. So yeah, because the other one knew too much. We don't talk about him anymore. Don't talk about Steve.
No.
Steve knew too much. Steve's not with us anymore.
Who? Who's Steve?
Exactly. Nobody. Dead.
Right, there we go. So that's Jamie's go done. So for me, I've got a worker still. I haven't got enough resources to do what Jamie did earlier. So what is my worker? It's a number 2 dice. Okay. Tell you what, I am literally just going to start building a market, and I'm going to go for a Wasteland. I'm just checking what my recruit is on there. So it means I have to pay a brick, and then that worker stays there basically. I can retrieve him if I wanted to, but obviously then I lose being part of that market building. So I want to stay there really. But I hope that someone else joins me, or I just do it myself if no one joins me. And that's me done. It's Tom's go.
Okay, and I'm going to retrieve both my dice. Right. So, sorry, I'm just moving the dice first, and I'll do the re-rolling in just a sec.
Yeah.
Then I shall be paying a food cost to do that.
Yeah. I wonder whether we should just leave the food down here to one side or something. Any resource we discard, leave them maybe.
Well, they recommend leaving it next to the kind of placement where you get it, actually. But
yeah, okay.
The board's not been very set up particularly well for it.
Otherwise, put it on the reference cards as white cards next to us on the left or the right. They might be quicker. I don't know. Up to you. Just somewhere out of the way.
So
did you re-roll your dice yet?
I was just going to move my morale up by 2 first, actually.
There he goes.
Nice.
Not that hand size is very beneficial right now, but it might be soon, so you never know.
Yeah, right. 3 cards potentially.
Ooh, and 9. So 9 plus my knowledge of 1 still, hopefully, or 2 is 11, so I'm all right.
You're good. Okay, Jamie.
The wasteland is a happy and ignorant, so you're good.
I will join you on...
There we go.
Yeah.
Stone or bricks, up to you, either. So that means the market is constructed. So if you pay your brick, stone, sorry. And then we retrieve our dice. I'm just going to move mine to the side, but if you take yours and re-roll it, And then, as I say, this flips over and then slides to the side. So we've now got another action space available. So let me explain what happens here. So you can see the resources to pay next to the action space. So this is a temporary action space which requires 4 bliss and any one of stone, brick or gold. And then for that you get a Wastelander Allegiance track going up, and you can place a star. Remembering you can place a star in the territory or on a marker that you don't already have a star. Also, Jamie and I will have to place a star on here in a minute. And then Tom, who hasn't got a star on there, you may not place workers in Icarus, it says here. So anyone who hasn't got a star on there cannot place anything in the Icarite territory. Any workers, specifically. So Tom will want to probably get 3 cards or 2 artifacts the same to then also add his star to here. So you just put them on in the actual, maybe a bit further to the left. There you go. And I'll do the same. So these markets can be quite harsh. I've seen others that basically, I think they said something like if you roll a 4, you lose that, you have to pay a resource or something like that. So they weren't quite so harsh. So it does depend on what it is. I've re-rolled my dice. I'm good, and I'm going to place my star as well, if I can get up there quickly enough. God. There we go. So yeah, Tom, if you want to add your star to there, you have to use that hex space on the left of it. And I think that's Jamie's go done. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Cool.
I've taken my dice back and re-rolled it. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. And you did
that's absolutely fine.
Your knowledge check, but with
but
one, you should be okay.
My guy is still my guy is still smart, but also stupid.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Tom's go.
Okay.
Yeah, one day these streams will be nice and smooth. Probably take me another 3 years to get there. Still making too many mistakes. Oh, the stream isn't actually showing what we're doing. Oh, that's good.
I always think of what Richard said in that tweet, which blew up amazingly, but a couple of years ago. First one will be rubbish, but you can't make. But your 50th one can't be good without the first one being rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do admire people like Edward from Heavy Cardboard or Paul from Gaming Rules doing these live streams, and obviously people like Ross from More Games Please, and it's not easy.
No,
but it's
fun. It takes a lot of trial and error, but when it works, oh boy, it looks great.
Yeah. And it's fun. I mean, as I said, I'm doing these really just more for fun, play games with friends, and maybe show off some games that I haven't played yet, learn some new games like K2 the other day, and just have a bit of fun.
I'm going to play in the farm to get 2 food.
I'll get another food for you, Tom.
Don't worry, I've got them both. Thank you, then.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And yeah, I have to remember now that we get...
Strats at Tabletopia.
I have to remember that we get 2 food now because of the farm bonus.
And I also get to reduce my knowledge by 1. And I'm done.
Actually, before we do anything, there's actually tokens here that remind us. So I'm going to plonk that there. So that means now we get an extra orange there, okay? So similar tokens for the get both benefits and things like that down there for the water as well. But at the moment we only have the farm. Okay?
Be fine.
We probably still forget, but hey.
What the heck am I going to do? I never know what I'm going to do in this game.
So I reckon this game takes about an hour to play. We'll see.
I don't know. I think I always go time and a half at least for the first time playing it. And then
Tabletopia add a bit more time as well.
Yeah. I'll go to the generator for 6. So I'll get an energy.
And I'll move your knowledge down if that's okay.
Thank you very much. And I will... Oh,
do you lose another knowledge? No, what? Or do you gain?
No. I was going to use my ability, my scavenger ability, but actually, you know what? I might choose to get rid of this card.
Okay.
Let's see what I've got. What? Where is it? Where is it?
It's somewhere. Can you see it?
Yep, it was sitting on Tom's things.
I was hovering.
Okay, I'm gonna put that there. It's a discard.
Okay. So yeah, so you gain 2 knowledge because of your recruitability. Now I have to remind myself actually of my recruitability as well. So what do I get again? I may use food in place of bliss. And when I do this at least once on a non-acquired market, I gain knowledge and increase the wastelanders by 1 level. Okay. And I lose a heart if I do place it in the career space. Okay. Right. So I think that makes sense.
Basically, you get all your people drunk as all heck.
Yeah. So what can I actually do? So I've got 2 dice left. I've got 1 bliss, which doesn't really give you a lot. I think I probably want to go on the farm. I think we're going for food now because we can spend that instead. So I'm going to join Tom on the farm, which means it's now a total of 8, which means I get 2 oranges and I lose a knowledge, but I'm already at the bottom, so I can't lose anymore. So I'm just going to select my 2 food. If my mouse will move, 1, 2, and then I'm done. So I get the extra food because, as I say, of the allegiance track. And that's it.
Can you assign more than 1 dice to the same square? Could I replay in a farm, for example?
Yeah, so those big rectangles, you can put as many dice in there basically as you like. All the dice can go into 1 big rectangle space.
Okay.
It's only those small squares that's only 1 dice, and there's either the dotted line, which means you bump someone if there's already there, or the solid ones, which you can't bump, you basically stick in there until you retrieve. So yeah, you can have multiple dice in there for multiple people.
Okay, well I'm going to pop in there, I'm sure.
Yeah. So you get
and me
3
knowledge.
and 3 food.
I'm going to take my guy back.
So remember, you have the worker activation tank in the bottom left, Jamie, but you do need 3 energy or 3 water for that.
I have none of that. So.
Just as a reminder, if you do want a second worker.
I do. Don't worry, I do. It's taking a wee while to get there.
But as I said, you can then see why you will have to contribute to all the other areas as well and start digging, tunnels and doing other things to benefit, because otherwise you just can't do what you want to do. You can't just support one faction only. So yeah, so you rerolled, and that's me then next. So I've got no dice left. I'm gonna just retrieve them and reroll them. Let's have a look. What have we got? 1, 2. Give it a good roll, and we've got 2 1s. Now that's nice. So I'm good. I'm not losing anything. So it's Tom's go. You're trying to move your dice, Tom.
Yeah, sorry. Just Tabletop's keyboard shortcuts with picking multiple things up. Right, I'll retrieve my dice. So I'm just going to re-roll them quickly.
Yeah.
11 plus my knowledge of 2 is 13, so I'm still okay.
Yep. I was going to say, just to clarify, I didn't spend a food or bliss, so I didn't gain hearts, and I didn't lose any because of the 1. And I guess, Tom, you're spending?
I'll be paying a heart.
Yeah.
Which makes it 5, and I am done.
Okay. So obviously, I can't see your hand limit with the artifact. Just bear that in mind. Obviously, if depending on where your morales, your hearts are, there's only that many cards or artifact cards you can have in hand. So if you ever drop down, you might have to discard artifacts. But because I can't see your cards, you have to sort of do that yourselves. Just remember that. Okay. Jamie.
I'll go to the Ankfire. I'll get myself a water.
Yeah, and you increase
and
the
an allegiance.
Yeah. Super. Okay. That means it's my go. So I got my both workers. They're both ones, so I can use them both, which is nice. So I wonder where I might take them. I think I'm going to go back on the Wasteland Tunnel with the first worker, and I'm going to spend an orange. So I'm going to plonk that orange over here on the reference card next to the green play on the right there. And that means the miner goes along one space. If it does it, there we go. And I can have a brick or an artifact card. I'm going to go for a brick, if I can reach it. And then that is me done.
Okay.
Oh, hello, for chits and giggles. I never played this game before. How does it compare to Stonemeier's other games? Well, I think with Euphoria, yeah, I mean, you can probably see us sort of working out what all these different tracks do. There's often ways that you get things, and then to get those things, you need other things. So it's quite interlocked. There's a lot of actions that need you to do other things as well. It does remind me, in some ways, I think, of Scythe, because of the star placement. So in this game, as soon as someone plays the 10th star, the game is immediately over. The round doesn't carry on like in Scythe when you place the 6th star. The game ends immediately. There's also lots of resource management in a way. So I think there's lots of elements that sort of remind me of other Stonemaier games. Jamie, do you know many Stonemaier games? Does this remind you of anything?
I don't believe I've actually played any Stonemaier games before, so this is I'm coming into this fresh, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm still finding my feet with it, but I like the aesthetic. I like the dice placement, the kind of back and forth, and but yeah, I think I might have to mull it over a little bit more. But right now, I'm enjoying
it so far.
Where did I put my dice again?
Oh, it's down here, the Aquifer.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Tom, did you just have a go?
I'm all done. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
That's
Can
fine.
we turn the turn order thing on?
Say it again?
Can we turn the turn order on?
Yeah, I'll do that. So,
sorry, it's just easier to prompt people that it's their go about interrupting anyone who's chatting.
If I remember where that was, actually. Let's see, I think. Turn-based clockwise.
Oh, you've got so many resources.
So, right, so...
oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, so just bear with. So this is now turn order. So every time you're done, there'll be above your little logo a end turn button. So Tom, if you end your turn, and then it'll tell us whose turn it is. And then you'll see also a sort of timer ticking down on your little avatar. So we then know actually whose turn it is so that we don't forget. So it's a little reminder. So quite useful for, I guess, streams, as Tom says. You can take a turn. We can still chat, and I know that is my turn now. So yeah, Tom, what did you think? Would you compare it to Scythe? Do you see similarities? Euphoria and Scythe or other games?
I would probably say I'd compare it more to Wingspan, to be honest, at this stage. I think just because there's a lot of dice elements and a lot of resource gathering, but it's also quite down to chance. I think the other game that it reminds me of, and I don't know if it's just because the thematics are such, but it also reminds me of Mars quite a lot. I think, was it Mars that you used to have? Which isn't a Stonemaier game.
Whatever it's called. I can't remember. Yeah, that game that was a bit broken.
Well, it was only one aspect, but yeah, it was just unfortunate. But it kind of reminds me of that, and I'm curious if it's fixed the issues that I had with that game, which was the feeling like sometimes you're playing on other squares to benefit other players, and it's kind of frustrating because everyone was avoiding doing that. Yeah, but at some point someone had to, and whoever did that basically ended up kind of losing, being at a bit of a disadvantage without very much gain out of it.
I was going to say, if you go first to open up a certain space like the market here, you might think, well, I've opened it up now for all players, which is true. So that market, Tom can use that market, that action space there, to pay 4 bliss and one other resource. But at least there's disadvantage if you haven't contributed, that you lose something
well, absolutely.
else.
I mean, in the market's case, it kind of makes sense because I'm, the cost to use that market and get my star on there is absolutely massive, and also not being able to play on the Icarus tiles has actually kind of put me at quite a big disadvantage. For reasons that I probably can't be too open about. But so now I know that because I didn't invest in that early on and you guys did, it's definitely, so that's good incentive for you guys to play in a square.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that seems to have fixed the problem I had with that other game already.
Yeah,
so
that mask.
I do quite like the idea of it. Thematically, it makes sense that we're all working towards a dystopian future, not necessarily willingly, but we kind of have to.
Exactly, we're sort of working together, but not. There's a follow-up question. How does the mechanic work where the workers become too aware? So this is basically to do with any workers you have in hand. So down here on that screen, whenever you return a worker to your hand, you roll that dice, or those dice, there's several, and then you add the pip values of those dice, so that they look a bit odd, but they're literally just 6-sided dice, 1 to 6. Add them together, and then at the top left here you have a knowledge track, and depending where you are, you then add another modifier to that. So for example, Jamie Blue here has a +5, so say he rolled a 5 and a 6 in hand, so not the workers on the board, but in hand. So that's 11 plus 5 gives you a total of 16, as I say here. If that total is ever greater or equals to 16, he then has to give up one of those workers in hand, and can't use them anymore. So you have to be careful. If you have too many workers and have them all on the board, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when they come back into your hand, you roll them, you might then lose them again. So the trick might be not to retrieve all workers if you have lots of them. So that's what we're trying to work out with a strategy.
But also, that happened to me. I had my 2 workers, because my recruit's ability is to gain 2 knowledge to draw an artifact card. I gained an artifact card. I took my 2 dice back. I rolled 2 6s, and my knowledge at that time was at +4. So they knew too much. They knew that a dystopia was approaching, and one of them decided to leg it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no worries. Glad to explain questions, and nice to see you on the chat as well. And honored to have some of these bigger names on my little stream channel. Right, I just realized it's my turn, but not only that, I could have actually placed 2 1s on my last turn, which is my fault. But you don't have to place them all, so that's a choice. But if you have several dice in hand that are the same number, you can place them all, so you basically get multiple actions. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use my 1 to bump the other one. So rather than taking that one down and putting the other one there because they're the same number, I'm just going to leave that there, but just assume I've done that. I'm quickly going to re-roll this dice down here. So I've got a 4 now, but I still have to pay 1 food to actually use that tunnel action that I've just bumped myself from. And let's see, I'm still getting used to this interface with Tabletopia. So I've paid that, so I'm doing this worker, this tunnel space here, the wasteland tunnel. So I paid my food and I'm moving the miner along. So we're coming towards, again, one of these spaces, like on the allegiance track. You can see in the tunnel here 2 more, and we'll flip over the wasteland recruits we have. If any of us have them face down or in hand, any more wastelanders, at that point there will be flipped face up as well. So building the tunnel is another way of flipping those over. And now I can get a brick or a artifact. Now I'm going to go for a brick this time. I'm going to see whether that's a strategy of getting your stars down, but ultimately it's all about placing the stars. And that is me done. Oh, thanks. For chits and giggles, sorry, what I should know your name really, but Jamie, you don't know who this is either, do you?
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's very embarrassing. I should know all these people in the industry. But some I know better than others. Anyway, sorry, it's Tom's go.
I'm just going to place a tile on the Euphorian tunnel. Dice even on the Euphorian tunnel to get. So I've spent my energy and taken my artifact card, and I'm done.
Nice. And did you move the miner along?
No, I didn't actually. So let me do that quickly.
Space, yeah. So that's important for two things. One is to indicate whether we flip over more recruits, and also eventually reveal this yellow space as well. That gives you 3 water, but only if you have a Euphorian recruit.
So anyone want to join me with some...
I might do, yeah.
Market building.
So you paid your brick?
I haven't paid my brick yet.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll go put it on.
Well, that was my plan. I was actually going to monopolize that market, but that's fine. I've got 1 worker left. Let me just get rid of my hand. It always gets in the way. Get out of the way.
I'm spotting a trend in the 3-player version of this game.
I think it's always an issue with 3-player games is that inevitably there will be like 2 people who will monopolize something and leave 1 out, but which 2 it is will change rapidly.
But you can obviously do the same, you know, if you're going on a market first as well, because there's only 2 needed. You know, it is going to be that thing where in a 3-player game you need 2. So if you get in on the market action, which I've just been doing more heavily in this game, you don't necessarily do that all the time.
No, I understand. I mean, the problem I've got, which is a very specific problem relating to the game, I think is, my second recruit is for Icarus, and I can't advance the Icarus track because I can't play up there till I've got onto the till I've built onto your apothecary, and to do that I need artifact cards, interestingly, and the only way to get lots of artifact cards is on the Icarus track, which I can't play on. So
I mean, the tunnels give you artifact cards as well. Only 1, but there is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it just, it's an interesting observation at the moment for me that I'm currently trying to gather artifact cards, which means I'm not building on marketplaces, and that means I'm then getting monopolized further, and you're kind of stuck in a loop of constantly trying to catch up.
No, absolutely. As I say, that I found as a very harsh market, that disadvantage there. So I don't know how that balances out of the game or not, or how that works. We'll see. But so with this market we've just revealed, so Tom is not every time Tom rolls a 3. So whenever you retrieve your dice, you lose either any resource, basically, a bliss, a water, a energy. Any of even brick gold.
So harsh.
I know.
And I can't play on there either. What a treat. I say that I don't know how the strategy works there, where there's a way of maybe rushing the stars in other ways, or I don't know. I have no idea. I'm assuming I can't get a star on that tile either, can I, by the look of it?
You can only get a star on that tile, let's say, if you use that hex next to it. So you'd have to basically have 6 artifact cards to go on that hex twice to then place 2 stars. Does that make sense? So the what's it called?
So you have to play on the top one first, or
doesn't matter which one. So basically, whenever you place the Arc of Fractured Memories, you pay your 3 artifact cards, or remember 2 artifacts that are the same. You place a star, and you can place a star on any constructed market, or the wasteland or territory, or any obviously relevant territory as well. And then you move the Icarus track.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course, because all of them. Because all of them have got a red outline, and so yes, that makes sense.
And similarly, the actual market itself you can use as well if you have the resources, which is obviously a lot harder. But if you did, for example, have the amusement park? No, Amusement Park. If you pay any of the sort of basic resources and you have a balloon artifact, you can place your worker there, and you can still then place a star again on the market itself, or any other constructed market, or the territory, and the Icarus thing goes along. So whenever you see a star, you can basically place that star on the market, the constructed markets, or the relevant territories in that section. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Russ, of course. Apologies, as I say. I have to remember that now. So Russ, Chits and Giggles. Visit for Chits and Giggles as well. I've not really spent enough time. There's so many things you can see and do on obviously Tabletop Games blogs and video channels and all that. But yeah, Chits and Giggles definitely up there. So, where actually are we? I've been talking so much.
I'm taking my go because it's mine, I think. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. We were just doing the market. So it's in my turn. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we just literally constructed that market by me placing that dice there.
There's a question from Thomas H in the group Discord. Can you pass?
Oh, Thomas H. That's Tom here. Can you pass?
Yes. Sorry, that was me being polite.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't. I was like, oh, there's Thomas H. Sorry.
No, you must take one action. So you have to place a worker, retrieve any or all workers. I guess you can retrieve no workers, or resolve your dilemma. So the other card you've got in hand. So you could say I'm doing a retrieve workers action, but not retrieve any. I guess that's the only way of passing.
Oh, can we look at our dilemmas? I assume.
Yes. Yeah. So they're only visible to you technically. And remember, they will tell you if you look on the green players. Oh, on the wrong screen. In the green players dilemma, if I'm just zooming down to that now. So their dilemma basically needs them to pay I don't know, is that a notebook or something, a file of facts, or 2 artifact cards, and then you reveal that card, pay those things, one or the other, and then you can decide whether you then, in this case, draw 2 recruits and keep 1, and that's the recruits, as I say, those faction abilities basically, or you place a star on this card, one or the other.
Cool.
Okay, so that's another way of getting another star.
What is what's the word I'm looking for? What is the benefit of putting, say, for example, stars on territories? Is it just ways of placing stars?
Yes, exactly. Because the first to place 10 stars, so that's your goal, placing your stars, really.
Right, I'm going to go here to the amusement park because I have... Oh.
Have you got a balloon?
Don't look at that worker. Don't look at that worker.
No, I'm not looking.
Look at recruit guy. So I've got that, and I'll pay an energy to gain 1 on the Wastelander.
So did you pay your balloon artifact?
Yep. Over the left here.
Oh, okay, sorry, yes, it's off screen for me. That's fine. Yep.
I'll put them back.
No, that's fine.
Yep, there you go. There's the balloons. Cool. Remembrance of a happier time.
Yeah.
And I'll get another star.
Actually, let me flip that discard face up because otherwise we'll get confused, I think.
Oh.
There you go.
You see too much.
Oh, did I see the other one? Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. It was one I discarded.
Yeah, I think you discard face up anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a star now to place.
Yeah, so the star you can place obviously not in the market because you've already done it, so you have to place it in a territory, the Wastelanders territory, not any territory. It has to be in that region basically.
Right.
And remember, you can have multiple stars in the territory, so you can basically place 3 stars there if you're quick enough, and monopolize the Wastelanders territory. But markets, once you've got a star in the market, you can't have additional stars. And again, as I said, if you have several workers that complete the market, you only place 1 star, even if you have 2 workers that complete it.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, end turn if you're done.
Yep, all done.
Okay. I've got a worker left. I haven't got any food, but I am keen to try and get in on some more market action. I'm going for the market strategy, so I'm telling you now. So I'm going to place my worker up here. We have to pay a brick. So that's the Euphorian top market there. So anyone can now join me for a gold, I believe, to complete that market and lock others out. And I don't have to pay anything else, no, just the brick. Okay, that's me done.
Cool.
I'm going to play any Aquafire, which gets me 2 water and -1 knowledge.
We like that. Less knowledge. Oh yeah, so did you put the token there? Perfect, thank you.
Wait a minute, why are you minusing 1 knowledge, Tom? Because you're 2.
Oh no, it should have been a 6. I don't think it may have rolled, sorry, when I placed it.
I placed it on the token and rolled over. That's fine. All right, we have to try and turn it to a 6. Can you do that?
It should be able to change.
Yeah, hang on, I can do it. 6.
Oh no, it's not.
Someone
doesn't like me.
Let me do it. See if I. There's an option to actually set it to number. I think we're just all on it. No, didn't like it. Do it again.
Oh, we know it's a 6. So, okay.
Okay, I'll try and fiddle with it while you guys do what you have to do.
No, it's you just undone it. It was on 6.
Sorry, did you roll it or what did you do?
Yeah, do you want to? Yeah, I'll leave you to full sort it out if you want to.
Yeah.
See more stuff. Otherwise, we'd both be doing it. I'm done anyway. Sorry. So.
Yep, I'm pulling my guy back. Cool. That's me.
And you rolled it, and you're done. Okay, so I've got no workers. So I need to just retrieve mine. I'm going to leave the other one obviously on the market. I want to stay on there. I'm going to roll this dice. Oh, if I press the right number, a red letter. I've got a 4, and I'm also done.
Okay, let's see how this goes as a gamble. I'm going to go to the worker tanks and spend 3 water.
There it is.
To recruit
another white
worker.
So remember, roll that now.
So I roll those immediately, don't I?
Yeah.
Which is 6 plus. So yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. And you get 2 hearts if you're not already at the top.
Oh yeah. Just 2 more. So yeah, that takes me to 6.
Cool.
Fantastic.
So you can keep doing that, Tom. Even though at the top of 6 now, you can still, do that action. You just don't get any additional hearts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wonder whether part of the strategy is to put lots of workers on the board, leave them on there, and then add to your worker pool.
Yep. I'm also going to be doing the aquifer.
So you're at the 11th, so you get 3 water because of the subterran allegiance track, and you gain a knowledge.
I mean,
why not?
This has been me for the game right now. Which has been I've got one guy and he knows a lot, but he's still not smart enough to escape the hell pit that is our dystopian world.
Yeah, it takes 2 people at least. Right.
It takes 2 to form a rebellion.
Exactly, yeah. Right, so that ends your turn.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I'm going to join you guys there. So we're still at 9+. So I get 3 water and I gain, collectively we all gain. My whole work group gets a knowledge. So actually I'm going to end my turn. I can take my water while Tom is taking his turn, trying to overlap some turns if we can.
I'm going to play there again as well, actually. So my knowledge will go up by 1. And
oh, come on.
And I'll take 3 water too.
Trying to select
and that'll be me done. Oh, and yeah.
Okay, I'm going to,
this water.
fun enough, take my guy away.
Yay.
Hey, I got a 4, cool.
Alright, I'm still getting my water.
Sorry.
Water's so slippery. Alright, okay. So now I've got my 3 water. I can eventually bump Tom off there unless he retrieves his stuff first, but I'm going to need more workers, so I'm going to retrieve my dice now. And I might actually pay a bliss to gain 2 hearts. So let me just roll my dice. So I got 6. I jumped around.
Here's a question for you. When you're retrieving your workers, do you have to decide how many you're retrieving before you re-roll them?
Yes, so you take them all back and then re-roll them all together.
No, you don't have to take them all back.
No, I mean you take all as many as you want back, but then you re-roll them all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Not just one at a time.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
quite like that. It increases the gambling element.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't just roll one and go, oh, 6. Oh no, I'm going to stop now. You have to basically decide how many, take all those back that you've decided to take, and then re-roll them all together. And yeah, so I've just retrieved my worker. I've paid a bliss to get 2 morale, and I'm done. I think we're speeding up a bit now. Maybe that's because we don't have many options.
Oh, has someone...
What?
No, it's on...
Someone's moved one of my dice somewhere around. Oh,
no.
no.
No, they're
both of them are on here, Tom.
Aquafire, yeah. They're both in the Aquafire.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's all right. Oh, yes, because, yeah, someone... Oh, no, yes. I don't know, I'm just talking to myself, sorry.
That's right. You went to the Aquafire a second time, I think, to get even more water.
Yeah, no, I just got my other worker, though, and I did have a dice on the tank, I thought. But...
Yeah, I thought you dragged it. Someone dragged it anyway. I thought it was your hand dragging it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah.
I must... Yeah, oh, maybe I'm just removing it now. So, yes. Right. Ooh, dearie me.
So that's 16,
which
is already too much. So you have to get rid of the 6. They always say the highest needs to be removed.
Is it above 16, though? Or...
equal to or above.
To
yeah. But even with the modifier, it would definitely be over 16, but 16 or above, basically. So just the dice roll itself.
I lose a worker, which is fine. And I'm done.
Okay. Jamie.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I need a second worker.
Yeah. And I might do you a favor anyway and bump you off there in a minute.
Oh, yeah. So I'll give my 3 back, and I'll get a worker.
Yeah.
Come here, you.
Roll him.
So 1. Hey,
okay.
And do I also get the 2
hearts? Yeah, the 2 morale.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
So now your hand limit is at 3, which means you can have 3 artifacts.
Okay. That's my turn.
Okay. As I said, I'm going to... Oh, why am I clicking speakers here? No, I don't want to stop the sound altogether. Okay, so I'm going to bump Jamie out of that tank there. Okay, thank you, Jamie.
So is it just that one I reroll or all of them?
Yeah, no, just that one. But you still do check on all of the ones in your hand.
Well, thankfully I rolled a 1 again.
Yeah. So I guess that's one way of basically forcing someone to have all their dice back and basically forcing them to lose one potentially. I have to play my 3 water, which I'll just plonk over there, and then I get a worker, which I will roll.
Has anyone noticed if there's a slightly more efficient way of getting gold generally, or?
Nope, I've really not noticed.
No, because I can
the
see
only way is
to...
Yep, I think that's the only way.
Yeah, gold
there's
seems to be
the Icarus stuff where you can get the wild card stuff as well.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So the generator, I think... Oh, gold, yeah. So generator gives you energy, which then the tunnel gives you the gold. That's right. Yeah, so I've got my 2... Oh, is it whose go is it? Oh, it's Tom's go. Yeah, because I'm done.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, did I not pass?
Oh,
that's all right. It's your turn again now anyway.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to place one of my dice on the Euphorian tunnel.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me electricity, which I will take a gold for the joy of doing that.
Yeah.
And that also advances the minor one.
Yeah.
Right. And then I shall place my other dice on the tunnel.
Oh, because you got 2 5s. Nice.
Dice back.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to re-roll the 6.
I'm going to give you a gold for my philanthropist ability.
Thank you.
Which means I get to draw 2 artifact cards.
2 artifacts.
Nice. And remember, your hand limit is 5 because you're on 5. 5 hearts.
Pardon me.
That's all right. And by the way, my knowledge check was fine. I got 2 4s there. Plus the modifier. We're good.
Cool.
And then I'm going to spend 3 water to recruit a worker.
Now, the only thing with this game, I don't know how people remember the market things that, you know, the disadvantages people get, because I think that's easy to forget in a game. Be good if there was some easier way to remind people, okay, you can't do this, you can't do that. But
I'm going to spend...
I think it's just down to the players to know that they can't play in certain places. Oh, I suppose there's the free
Subterran tunnel. I'm going to get myself a stone. And
I'm going to move the miner forward
hold
for
on.
you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And then, because I also rolled another one, I can do another one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to...
Where are you going to
I'm going to go here.
Oh, starting the subterran markets. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to pay your stone for that.
There's my... I'm just going to put it on the market for now.
Okay, yeah, cool. Good idea. And then that's you done. End your turn if you're ready.
No, I am ending my turn.
Yeah, Tom, I was just thinking in our games group we have a player who might not remember.
No, well,
so
I think it'll be a lot easier to remind people because I think it's a lot visually. It's a lot easier to read a board. Unfortunately, I mean, it's one of my few gripes with Tabletopia, particularly is you have to be zoomed in on a certain level for the text to actually be particularly readable.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, you only see a quarter of the board. So it's
Ross is heading off. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, man.
We're doing another stream next Monday, but then it's going to probably be the end because work calls. But yeah, thanks very much for joining. And thanks very much to everyone else joining as well. As I keep saying, I will put this on my YouTube channel eventually as a sort of permanent stream, probably slightly edited. You see my web address in the bottom right of your screen, tabletopgamesblog.com. You'll find links there to everything I do. Anyway, so I've got 2 workers both set at 4, so I can actually do 2 actions, which is nice. The first one I will do is complete that market. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that first because then I get 2 workers back, which might not be a good idea. So I want to do something else first. So my worker is on the board. So the order in which you do those may be important. And I think I want to get some electricity. So I'm going to go to the generator, spend 4 so I get 1 energy. And we can move the
Euphorians up.
Oh, actually, we get 2 energy. They already moved forward onto that space, haven't they? So I would get 2 energy. So can someone put the
the energy one's up here.
Yeah, so that was the wrong one. Yeah, I said that's the next slot on that track. So where you get basically in the tunnel both benefits. So I've done that, and then with my other 4, I am now going to complete that market and pay my gold. I probably didn't really need to put my dice on there, but just to illustrate. Oh, and I'm dragging the screen rather than the gold. I need a better mouse, I think. Right, gold paid. So that market now flips over. My dice will have to disappear from there back into my hand. I can grab them both.
Are you kidding me?
And then
fantastic.
That is ridiculous.
Okay, Jamie, do you want to read out what it says? Because I haven't had a chance yet.
You may not use 1st and 2nd tier allegiance track bonuses.
Ooh. Okay. So that's revealed now. So I've got my star on there, and I have to re-roll my dice as well. Did I select them? 1, 2. So my knowledge check is 7. And I'm okay. So that's me done. Tom's go. Someone dropped off and came back. You all there?
Yeah, sorry, it was me. It's just Discord kicking me off after 2 hours as usual. Right, well, because I have to basically, otherwise this game is going to be over very quickly for me. I will pay
three artifacts. Or two the same, remember? Two the same is also possible. They're the same picture on them.
What's that, sorry?
Instead of paying any three, if two of your artifacts have the same symbol on them, you can pay only those two instead.
Oh, okay. Where does it say that?
There's a key on the right-hand side, where you're there.
Oh, okay, I see. Right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So that means I can put a star down, and
so you're not affected by the Icarus thing.
Track,
yeah.
So,
hey.
And that advances. Has someone done the allegiance track for?
No, I haven't yet.
No, I've done that. In which case, and that would be me done.
Cool.
But you put the Euphorian up rather than the Wastelanders just now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. There we go. All sorted.
Super.
I'm just going to pull this guy off the tunnel. I don't have food or bliss, so I'm going to lose 1 morale.
Okay, yeah.
Very bad at...
So remember now you might have to discard your artifact cards, potentially. I don't know. You might be okay.
I don't have any. I don't have any artifact cards. So that's me.
Okay. So I've got 2 workers in hand. And I think I want to start getting some energy to give me gold. So I'm going to bump Tom's dice here from the Euphorian tunnel. Tom, I just put it back in your hand, so to speak, in your area. I'm going to place the... not that one. I'm going to place the 6 there. Spend an energy, which I'm going to plonk over there, to give me a gold, which I'm going to grab actually back from here. And we need to move the miner along as well. About there, maybe. And then I am done. And it's Tom's go.
I'm going to, now that I can go to Icarus, I'm going to play my chap in, to get, is it Bloom, did you say it was called?
Bliss. Yeah.
Bliss. Yeah, I shall gain a bliss and lose knowledge. And that will be me finished.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're getting into the swing of it now, aren't we?
I shall also join you there.
Hey, so you get 2 bliss and you gain a knowledge. Shall I give you the knowledge? May I do the honors?
Please, please.
So you now have the +6 modifier, Jamie.
I live a dangerous game.
Okay, is that you done then? Okay. So I'm going to bump my worker from the tunnel, so I get my 6 back, which I'll re-roll actually now while I'm here. And it's a 3. I'm going to place that worker there instead. It snaps, hopefully, yeah. And then pay another energy to get another gold. And then I'm done. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's sort of starting to sink in a bit. So the tunnels basically allow you to refine your sort of basic resources, if you like. And then obviously you can use that to then build markets. You need the sort of refined resource to build markets. And obviously the artifact cards are there to get some of your stars down. It's sort of getting there, but still way away from formulating a strategy for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom, you're retrieving your workers. Let's see.
Yes.
What are you rolling? Whoa, whoa,
whoa. Oh no,
12,
I think
14.
I'm all right. 6, 12, 13,
15.
14.
15, you're good. Yes, wow. Just.
And I'm done.
So here's where it's all going to fall apart, everybody.
Okay.
Pay one of this bliss to get my boys, all my guys back.
I forgot to drop my morale by 1.
Okay.
So I should do that.
That's fine.
So I've taken this back from the market, so I haven't actually spent that stone yet then. Am I right?
No, you will have spent it. That's the thing. It basically, as soon as you go in that worker space, you spent it. So you might want to leave your worker there. So you basically haven't contributed at this stage unless you have a worker there.
Okay.
That's the important bit. So you did.
Then I won't pay that because if I'm just I'll just keep that one guy there. Then actually I'm going to spend that anyway, so I don't.
I was going to say if you don't spend, you lose a heart.
Yeah. Not exactly been great for me anyway, but
no.
hey.
But you have spent it now, so you gain 2 morale. So I'm going to move that heart up for you, if that's okay.
Why do I gain 2 morale?
Because you retrieved workers and you paid a bliss.
Sorry, yes.
Yep.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Is that what you wanted? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, so it doesn't matter how many you retrieve. If you retrieve, as I say, I think you potentially can retrieve 0. I might have to double check that, but it says any or all workers. And if you pay a bliss, then you get 2 hearts. If you don't pay anything, you lose a heart. Or play food or bliss, actually. Okay, so I've now got... I think it's time for me to place my worker on that market. Pay my gold. Not the market, the construction site. And then I am done too. So I'm trying to complete or construct that market in the Euphorian area to get some more stars down. Let's have a look how many stars I've got left. Got 7 stars in hand still.
I'm going up to use the Icarus tile, so I'm going to spend a bliss and some food.
And we get...
Yeah, Icarus moves up 1, and that token goes on there.
Has someone done the Icarus track? Or...
Yeah, I've done the Icarus track.
All right, thank you. And get 2 artifacts.
That's it. Cool.
I will take this guy, go up here. So I'll get 2 bliss.
Yeah.
Over there.
And you lose the knowledge.
Lose the knowledge, but I will also that I'll also gain. I'm because he's the only one there. I'm adding 2 knowledge, but also -1. But it's the highest it can go to gain.
Yeah.
An artifact card.
Oh, you fool! Sorry, I'm just annoyed.
You're right.
Kind of trying to keep track of when you've got double 6s or double numbers, you can play them both in the same turn.
Yeah, I made that mistake earlier as well.
Yeah.
I know there's so much to think about. Okay, so it's my go. So I think I'm going to retrieve work. It's not all of them. I'm going to retrieve that one. Because obviously I want to leave mine on the market, on the construction site. And then I'm going to re-roll those when I get a chance. And I've got a 4, so I'm way away, plus 2 is 6. Yeah, so I'm good. So I'm done, and it's Tom's go. I'm glad you guys can still hear me, because that was the other problem with my streams. So remember, also, obviously, trying to reveal your other recruit might be a goal, because they might give you a benefit that you might want.
So I'm going to play there to take up to 12, so that will give me
3 bliss.
3 bliss.
Gain 1 knowledge. I'll move your knowledge up, Tom.
Thank you very much.
I'm good for something. It's Jamie's go.
Yeah. I'll pay 1 of those bliss.
Yeah.
To just drag this guy back.
Yeah.
To bump me up to
full capacity. Nice. Yeah, you want someone to complete that market with you. No such luck this time.
No.
I'm going to use my other worker to complete that market in the Euphorian space. So pay my gold. I'm going to flip that over and then retrieve my 2 workers.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
I have to get rid of one of mine.
Oh, what does it say?
Because I didn't put, because the other one I didn't put any stars on that, so I don't get first and second tier allegiance bonuses.
Of course, yes. See, that's what I mean. You start forgetting what those things do. So I can place a star on there.
In which case, I think I need to put a bliss back as well, I believe.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I think that's the only criticism I have with those sort of games. I think even if you have the board in front of you, to remember what these things, mean and what you're not supposed to do. It's easy, like me. If I have a star on everything, I don't have to worry about it. So this market is the courthouse of hasty judgment. So anyone other than me, you may not use pairs of artifacts at artifact markets. So you have to always pay 3 now. You can't use pairs. So this dystopia is getting harder and harder for everyone. So I have a feeling it's those markets that might really influence the game a lot.
I'm enjoying the game, but I'm also just finding it quite a slog.
Yeah.
And it might be because I've just spent the first part of the game with only 1 worker, so my resource gathering was much slower than it could have been. But I'm just kind of going,
yeah.
I understand there's a machine that can be built up, but it's taking, for me anyway, such a while for the machine to
I think I've had a similar problem, because looking like the Icarus track at the top seems to be the place to get. Yeah, it's the place where you can kind of morph resources into different types and such like.
Yeah.
And get quite a lot of artifact cards quite quickly. And because I've not been able to play up there, it's just been an absolute headache trying to get anything done.
I mean, we don't have to play this game all the way through if you feel.
I wasn't trying to. I wasn't.
No. But I just
be a grump, but
no. I'm just putting it out there because I understand it's one of those. It's quite a heavy game. And obviously, as I said earlier, when I was just playing it by myself, it takes a few turns and you realize all the mistakes you've made. So, we can carry on. I don't mind, but I'm also happy to give it, to stop it here, because there's no point trying to slog through something when you really can't see that you make any progress in any sort of meaningful way. So, I'm just putting it out there.
I don't think it's individual to this game essentially too much. I think it's just it's what I was referred to as the monopoly factor in a game. It's the point where you kind of feel like you've lost, but you still have to play it out, and there's no redeeming way of catching up. That's what I mean.
That's why I'm happy to just stop it here, because I think people have seen how this works, and I think you guys obviously have now maybe worked out what to do, maybe what not to do. So when you play again, it'll make more sense. So yeah, as I say, I don't want to force anyone through the end of the game, because, as I say, I've got still six stars in my hand or something, so it might speed up a bit, but you were still not even halfway through the stars. So I don't want to force it through. If you want to finish it here, feel free to say. And we've been streaming for an hour and a bit now as well.
2 hours.
2 hours already? Gosh, yes, 2 hours. 1 o'clock. Wow. There we go. So yeah, as I say, if we did, up to you guys. If you want to carry on playing, try a few things, and let's carry on. But if you feel it's just you're doing things for no purpose, then we can stop.
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah. So we're now moving that token onto the mine. So the 2 dotted one goes here now. So next time you use the mine, you actually get both benefits. You get the brick and an artifact card, as well as still get the extra food. Okay. So where I am at is I've got all 3 workers in hand. What is my heart's? Yeah, that's okay. So I can actually start getting some artifacts potentially. I haven't got any resources though, so I need to start getting some resources. So I might as well go up to the Icarite cloud mine, is it? With one of my workers. Which means I'll get 3 clouds and 1 knowledge. Sorry, 3 bliss. I should use the right terminology here. Yeah, so guys, what do you want to do? Do you want to carry on, or do you want
to... just to ask a question, actually.
Yeah.
With the buildings that you don't have a star on, I assume that to play on them, you need to use the actual building's ability. Is that right?
Which ones are you looking at specifically? Where's your hand?
So, for example, Registry of Personal Secrets.
Yeah.
To use that action tile, you'd have to spend 4 bliss and an artifact.
Yeah. To
place a star on it.
Yeah, so basically, so this is a temporary action space. You pay this resource, as you said. The Euphorian track goes up, and then you can place a star either on a market that you don't already have a star, or on the Euphorian territory, because this is a Euphorian market.
But basically. Is it any market, or just that particular market?
No, any market. So there's always any market that you don't have a star on, or the territory space. So if you already have a star, so I can't basically place any more stars on those markets because I've already got stars on there, but you could put it on any market in the Euphorian area. But so if you play on that specific market, you cannot obviously then put something in the Wastelanders or Subterran markets, but you can place on the other Euphorian market. It doesn't have to be that specific one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in essence, basically, I could pay either the cost of Incinerator of Historical Accuracy, or the Registry of Personal Secrets, or the Courthouse of Hasty Judgment to play on any of those other squares in
put the authority
Euphorian
of any
area.
Correct, yeah. So you can place a star on any of those 3 spaces in the Euphorian territory or area. So it's normally 1 star, but there's always 1 star per market, or as many stars as you want on the territory. So you can have multiple on this of the same. At least that's how I recall it. Let me just double check that as well. Don't think it's limited to 1 per player. Territory spaces. If I can find them in the long rule book. Markets. Yeah, it doesn't say that there's only 1 star per player on the territory. So you can have multiple stars in the Euphorian territory. So you could basically have 3 of your own stars in the Euphorian territory, and then 1 star on one mark and the other star on the other mark. So you can have basically 5 stars in that whole Euphorian space, potentially, if you're quick enough. So, whereas I think someone placed a star somewhere earlier. Yeah, so Jamie placed a star in the Wastelanders territory. So he could place another star there. And a 3rd even, potentially. Right, sorry. Is it...
Stars are a long way away for me.
It was my go, wasn't it? So I'd taken the 3... the 3 bliss, I believe, and I've moved my knowledge up. No, I don't think I've done that yet. And then I need to end my turn. There we go.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to play at the breeze bar again. So let's take that dice back. Right, and
so are you bumping yourself?
Yeah, basically. So it seems a slightly unusual tactic, but we'll see.
That's fine. Is that the 4 dice you've just placed there? Should I drag it into the space?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can do it.
So yeah, that moves up the Icarus track 1, and I get 2 artifacts.
That's it, yeah. And then it's Jamie's go. There we are. Jamie retrieved his workers, lost morale. So now I just need one other resource, or several other ideally. Now where could I place number 2? I might as well place the number 2 in the Euphorian generator thing, which gives me 2 energy. And if someone could move the Euphorian Allegiance track 1 along, please. Perfect. And then
done.
That is me done.
Sorry, remember I have a hand limit, so I've discarded it back down to.
Yeah, that's the other thing to remember. As I say, there's a few things.
And when can we play our dilemmas?
Anytime as one action. So instead of retrieving or placing your workers, you can resolve your dilemma. So you have to pay one or the other thing, and then choose one or the left or the right hand option. So where you place
I'm going to spend some spectacles, in which case, to expose a thingy. So I get to.
So you can either draw 2 recruits and keep one, or you can place a star on discard.
Yeah, I'll draw 2 recruits, I think. So which deck would I draw them from?
Top left,
here,
underneath the flashes, basically.
Oh, yeah, got you. So,
and you keep them both secret, and then you discard one. Oh, I don't mind really. I guess do it face down if you want to. And then that one that you keep stays in your hand, so it doesn't get revealed until it's time to reveal that faction, or there's some other action that gives you that reveal thing. So keeping one doesn't mean you actually act. Oh, I don't think it actually activates. Okay, another thing to double check. Dilemmas. I'm just going to place the selected card. Oh no, face down as a hidden recruit. So yeah, the card that you keep, you basically either keep in hand or place face down in front of you. So it's not an active recruit until it gets flipped over.
Yeah, and I'm all done in which case.
Okay. God, I've been remembering rules correctly. That's unusual.
Right. Right, I'm gonna bump Tom. I'm gonna bump your dice off the rest of the breeze bar. There you go.
Somewhere down there. So Tom, you have to reroll that. So you have to now pay a bliss and any other non-bliss thing. And then shall I move the Icarite track up?
Please, thank you. And I'll get 2.
So let me just double check now with that track what we get.
I think it's whenever you go into Icarite territory, you'll get an artifact card.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, but it actually says when you place a star in an Icarite territory, you draw an artifact card. So only when you place a star, but there's another token there. So I'm going to put that next to the Icarite territory to remind us, if you place a star up there, you draw an artifact card.
Cool. That's me.
Okay. So I now want to also go to the Icarite thing, and I want to use my now got my hands getting in the way again, my last worker, and move it up there. I have to pay. Oh no, I haven't got a. No, I have bliss. I suddenly thought I'd been stupid, but no, I have a bliss and an energy in this case. Pay that. I'll drag it. Oh god. Come on, drag. Okay, do it individually, fine. 1. I always find it so hard to drag those resources. 2. Paid those, but it means the Icarite track goes up 1. Someone would do the honors.
Done.
and then I'm gonna get myself.
Has someone give me a dice back?
Yeah, I gave you the dice back because I bumped you off the breeze bar.
Oh, sorry. Do I need to roll it, or have you rolled
please.
it?
Yeah.
Or...
Yes, you need to roll it.
So, sorry, which is which? Has it been rolled or has it not?
I didn't roll it, so.
Okay. Oh, 2.
Okay. And now I've got a stone and a gold. So I'm going to end my turn now. I guess where am I going to go soon? To market. So yeah, I've got 6 stars still in hand. So we'll see how quickly this goes.
How many stars have you got left?
I've got 6 stars left to place.
Right.
So we're not even halfway through the game.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to play out the Incinerator of Historical Inaccuracy.
So you have to play 3 artifacts because of the other marker that prevents you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can place a star on either of those 2 markets or on the Euphorian territory.
So I shall pop one there.
Sounds good.
Put that track up. No, it's not them. It's
the
these
top
guys.
One. Yep. And then now I'll move that marker onto the Euphorian tunnel. So next time anyone mines in the tunnels, they get a gold and an artifact card, not just ore.
And then I've got my second dice to play because it's also a 2.
Yay!
So I'm going to play it up there, which is
9+. So you get 3 bliss, and your knowledge goes up. I'll do your knowledge for you.
Yeah.
You guys are much better at using Tabletopia.
And so does someone done my knowledge?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's me all done, in which case.
Cool.
So end 10.
Hi, Jamie. Don't worry, I'll come. Oh, you're retrieving both. I was going to come.
No point. They've been sitting there for ages, and now
you need them. Yeah.
Oh, we keep forgetting there's another market down there in Subterranean.
Yeah, there's 2 more markets down there and territories.
Oh well, that stones disappears. I'm amazingly fine for the knowledge track.
Oof.
So
that's unusual.
I know.
So it's my go. So yeah, as I said, I think I'm going to go to the market. I was just going to rescue there actually and complete that market. Now you can. Oh no, actually, I haven't got any workers. I've got any workers, so you probably made the right choice. I have to retrieve my workers first.
All right.
So, I'm retrieving all 3, and I'm gonna. Where's my 3rd one gone? Actually, I've got 2 up there. I can't see my last worker. Oh, have I got it still in hand? No. Help me out. Where have I placed my workers? Got 2 at the top in Icarite. Can anyone see another red dice? It's probably right in front of me.
There's 2 at the top
here,
there.
In the generator. There we go.
Oh, there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna remove 1 from the cloud mine and 1 from the generator. I'm gonna leave the other one up there because someone might bump me anyway. Oh, why are you not selecting both? For goodness sake. Right. 1. Is it shift click? You do several. 2.
I think, shift or control. And you have to select them one at a time.
Yeah, I did control. That's why I didn't select both. Okay. Right. 1. And let's roll them both. And shift click and roll. And I've got an 8 plus whatever modifier. 4, it's 12, so I'm good. So it's Tom's go. If I can find the end turn button. There we go. Yeah, no, Jamie, I was going to come to your rescue, but it would have been yet another turn, so you probably just made the right choice.
Right, so I'm going to... I think I'm going to pay a bliss for once, actually, rather than a food, to retrieve my dice. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't pay anything, so I would have lost a heart, a morale. So let me do that now.
Yeah, I'd do the same.
So that's...
So now...
Gain 2 morale,
yep.
And then I need to re-roll my dice and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And success. I
Nice.
think 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Sounds
13.
about right. I think
so yeah, I'm fine.
At the maximum would have been the maximum would have been 16, but you're good.
And I'm done.
Right then.
Yeah, so this is clearly quite a harsh game. Oh, you're doing a dilemma. What have we got? So you have to pay a baseball bat or 2 artifacts. So it looks like the dilemmas are all the same. You draw 2 recruits and keep 1, or you place a star on this card. Does it say in the rules?
Yeah, it's either or. And
oh yeah, it's always the same. Yeah, it's just a different artifact you might pay.
Yes, they're looking like it.
And you placed a star on there. Nice. So, time for me to put some workers out there. I'm going to plonk me worker onto that market and pay... No, not a stone, a gold. Need to be 1 up. There we go. And pay gold. Gold. Okay, I don't want to sing on the stream. I'm done.
Always believe in your soul.
There you go. Someone was going to.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you know that 9 times out of 10, yeah. I'm the one that's going to be singing.
I do. Great last episode, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Nice to hear all those questions and answers and a bit more behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, thank you for sending in some questions.
Well, I think they were the obvious ones.
Well, you know what? Obvious ones, they're still good to answer because it's still that little peek behind the curtain.
True. I always love those. I always like to ask those questions. It's like, so how did it all come about? How did you start? Why did you do it? What's going on? You know.
I actually listened to some of the old podcasts that Sam and I did.
Yeah.
This was, early 2017.
Okay.
And just listening to it, I'm so, oh dear. Oh dear.
Make something awful.
Exactly. It was, it was still interesting, but it was also just,
cringy.
Yeah. Just not so much cringy. Just I had a bit of an issue with things like my microphone just been going back and forth and you couldn't hear me half the time. And just the format that we did, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. No, but look at you now. See, 50 episodes. It's going strong, and probably a good following. That's always hard to tell with podcasts how many people actually do listen to it. But
yeah, I think we're doing okay.
Doing okay.
Okay. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Tom, did you move the Icarite track along? By the way,
I did. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Because we're nearly now at that point where the next time that moves. If you have an Icarite recruit in hand, that will be revealed and become a new active recruit in addition to the one you already have. So
there we go.
So what's the current bonus on the Icarite track then?
So the current
if you
bonus...
place a star on an Icarite
territory, top right,
yes, you'll get a card, artifact card.
I put that little token there to remind us. On top of getting the bliss, the extra bliss as well, so that still stays active as well.
I should be paying attention to these things.
Yeah, plus 20,000 other things you should pay attention to. There's so much to pay attention to, though. That's the thing.
I'm going to move that token over there.
So there you go.
Yeah, it only happens though if you place a star, Dom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I placed it there. Only place a star over there.
Okay.
But do we now have put a bliss on it and it'll go forward? So it's now on.
So it's now in that space. So if you have a green Icarite recruit in hand, you have to reveal it now.
Done.
And then obviously the key thing is, as I say, as we're heading towards the star column for each different factions, you will then put stars on those factions, recruits of that factions as well. So if you have, 2 Icarites, say, once we move to the star column of the Icarite, you put 2 stars down, 1 on each recruit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it sometimes might be beneficial to keep 2 recruits at the beginning that are the same faction, because you then suddenly gain 2 stars at the end rather than just 1. But also when you then draw recruits, if you, for example, now we're doing your dilemma now, which I'm the only one who has my dilemma left. If I was drawing a Icarite recruit at that point and keeping that, I would immediately reveal it and have that active, because now all Icarite recruits will be visible, basically. So that's the other key thing why you might want to keep your dilemma towards the end. So there's, again, various potential strategies with all of this. Cool. So, yeah, Jamie, sorry, it's your go. Is that right? Are you done now? What did you do?
I've done. I placed.
No.
I placed 1 on the cloud mine.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
So I got a bliss. I got onto the 3rd level. So Tom and I both revealed our
Icarites. Yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
I'm not going to ask what they do because it's already going to confuse me enough. As long as you guys know what they do, you go for it. So I'm now going to try and complete that market that I started by placing my dice there and then paying a stone. And then we're going to flip that market. I'm going to retrieve my dice. I'm getting better at this. Can I roll them both now? 1. No, it's only rolling 1. Okay, roll the other one. And then we got 2. No, got 6. I'm good. Then that
every time you roll 6. Every time you roll a 6, lose a resource.
So I place a star there, so it doesn't apply to me. And then that is so I've done my knowledge check. So I've got a total of 6 plus whatever modifier, doesn't matter. I'm not going to reach 16.
I'm going to play down in the water spot and get me 2 of those.
Aquify, yeah.
And then that advances the
blue track. Yeah.
Blue track.
It won't get you 2.
The bonus one's there, so
no, but because we haven't put a star on the registry of personal secrets, we can't use 1st and 2nd tier allegiance check.
Yes, sorry, yes, I upgraded the wrong one last time, didn't I?
No, it's all right, mate.
That's all right. Don't worry. There's just so many disadvantages I need to try and keep track of. It's a bit headachy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then you're done. Yeah, and Jamie's go.
No idea what I'm doing.
No one wants to bump. Or do you want to bump?
I haven't got the resources to bump.
Okay, fair enough.
It's worth remembering the every time we roll 3s, actually no, it only applies to me, doesn't it? Actually, we're losing resources.
But it does apply that both of you and I, every time we roll a 6, we've got to lose 1.
Oh, where's that?
That's the one that Oliver just turned over.
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
3s and 6s are bad. I can remember that.
I'm making your life really hard now.
I'm not just saying this because it's getting so ridiculous. I might have to leave very shortly.
No, that's fine. As I say, I'm absolutely happy to stop this because there's more about showing the game off and getting used to how it works, but it is very complicated. There's so many things that are linked to each other, and unless you know the game, you quite easily end up in a position where you basically hardly moving forward. So I don't want to force anyone through, a treacle of your game. So we're happy to finish here. Do you want to finish here now?
I'll do one more turn with everyone, and then I might have to rock and roll.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think the odds of me getting my 8 stars down anytime soon is pretty limited. So
it's gonna take a while.
Yes, you're still only halfway to getting all yours down. Which
exactly.
Is
as I say, it's taken a lot
crazy
longer.
Thing.
So it's my go.
Do they talk about overlapping turns a lot in the rulebook? Because it seems even with the counter shuffling, this seems like it would be a very long-winded game.
It doesn't seem to mention that. I think that's what he learned with Scythe, where he's recommending that. So I'm just going to do as a quick last thing, put my 1 dice here to get 2 water, and the thingy subterranean track goes on 1. And then I'm going to place my second 1 because I've got 2 1s there as well, which now gives me another 2 water. So, that was a 1. So I would get 4 in total, and I lose 1 knowledge. I'm just going to do it all in one go rather than all individually. And just to wind this down now. And then end my turn while I'm taking my water. Tom can go.
Yeah, I'll play at the breeze bar again, so possibly my 2 resources now. Draw a card, and that'll be me done.
Okay, last turn, Jamie. And then we're going to call it a day.
You know what's going to happen? Oh, yes. I'm just getting my dice and I'm pulling them back in. Now,
nice quick turn.
Let's see if I'll lose a guy.
Let's have a look. Where are they? I can't see your dice. Are they?
No.
Oh, there they are.
A 1 and a 2.
Hey, nice. Well played. Yeah, so let's finish it there. Thanks very much for playing. What quick thoughts then? I mean, Jamie, you want to dash now, or do you want to quickly just?
Sorry, yeah, I'm gonna have to rock and roll. I'm afraid. I enjoyed the idea of it. I think I found it a little bit of a slog.
Yeah.
And looking. And just getting resources. And again, that's probably because I lost a guy very early on. But it seemed getting resources was quite hard. And as I said, the only way to get minerals was to either go up to Icarus or the
mines,
the tunnels.
Yeah.
But also, if you didn't contribute to the markets, we're so hobbling.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's some clear things you have to sort of know going in. I think that's next time I teach is probably something I will advise that people do. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us, Jamie. We'll hopefully see you next week for the last stream from me, probably for a long time. We'll see how it goes. But
hopefully,
thanks very much for joining us, and we'll.
Thanks, guys. Look after yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. See you
later. See you then.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So Tom, what about you? What did you think of the game? Like it? Don't like it? Do you think there's potential?
I honestly don't know if I'm biased, because again, whether it's the similarities with Mars that put me off, maybe it's a genre of game that I just don't like.
Yeah.
So I don't want to judge the game too harshly for disliking the genre. Like,
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Because I think most of the stuff we tend to play and the stuff I quite like, it's quite a lot of interplay between each kind of player as well, like, and kind of area control and a bit of scrappiness almost. I think is the kind of games that I tend to prefer, and I think for me this is just a lot of dice rolling. And I just think, looking at the board now, having played it for an hour or so, you can see where the resources are meant to come from and how they kind of where the conversion tiles are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, in essence, I had a different problem, but a similar problem to Jamie, in a sense. He lost a worker, so his resources were fairly shafted.
Yeah.
And similarly, I think because I got locked out of the Icarus track, I didn't have a converter tile, and to get my star onto the building to mean that I basically caught up with everyone involved me just having to get loads of resources, loads of artifact cards, which I was having to pay. And it just took so long to do. And then all of a sudden, by the time I've finally done that, someone else has built another marketplace and I have another disadvantage. And I don't know, it's just...
So it's the marketplaces that are the difficult bit, that, if you don't get in on them, you basically don't stand a chance.
Yeah, it feels it, and it's that kind of, it's a peculiar mechanic, and I'm sure there's a proper way of this, designers describing it, but it's that monopoly factor where you become disadvantaged in the game, but you have no way of counteracting that disadvantage, and you're basically still competing in the same kind of marketplace or like economy as everyone else, but just distinctly worse off, like with no means of,
did you not
actually gaining on them.
Did you not feel you could have gotten resources to construct your own market and sort of get ahead that way? Did that feel impossible?
Not without ignoring. Well, this is a problem because I was having to try and undo the damage done by the earlier marketplaces.
No, but if you can obviously get, say, for example, food from the farm, and then go into the tunnel to convert the food into brick, which I know is not as efficient as the sky. Was it at the top sky? I can't read it. The Sky Lounge, for example, which obviously gives you 2 resources, 2 like minerals quickly, but you could have potentially obviously done it that way to get your bricks and then build another market and basically try and ignore the Icarus for a while. Or did you feel that wouldn't have actually been beneficial?
I mean, it might have been, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I was spending so much energy and effort trying to get. I mean, I had a vested interest in the Icarus marketplace anyway, because that's where my second recruit was.
Yeah.
So, without being able to advance the Icarus marketplace and play up there, I was never going to get my second recruit out, which I thought that might be important in the game, but maybe it's less important than I gave it credit for.
Well, it's basically just 1 star potentially that you could get from that recruit. Only if you move that track all the way, and chances are everyone wants to...
maybe the recruits have less, like maybe their special abilities aren't quite so significant. I don't know.
Now, I'm also thinking, obviously, the Icarus market is important for other players, and they would have moved that track along for you almost, because everyone wants to use it, and we started using it a lot at the end. So even if you can't use it, it will still help. That track will still move along because others will use it potentially. So I don't know, but I can see what you mean. Obviously, I was going just for the markets this time. I thought I'd try and keep it simple in a way, and obviously that meant I didn't have to worry about any disadvantages. And the more I built, obviously, the more everyone else was disadvantaged. And as you say, obviously, once you get to a certain point, then no one can catch up. It's sort of, you have won that game. It's just you need to play it out to actually win it. So you might as well carry on.
Well, no, this is the interesting thing, and like I say, it may just be me not understanding the genre too well, really, but it definitely, to be fair, my engine actually felt like it was running kind of all right from a game perspective, but I only had 2 stars down, realistic, which is just terrible. Like, I was doing awfully, I think, if the game's meant to go on for 60 minutes. It's, whereas even you are still only halfway through, which makes me wonder if we weren't doing something right, basically. I don't know, or we just weren't doing it very well.
I think there's obviously better ways of playing this. I think it's a sort of game you do have to play several times to work out whether there's an more efficient way of doing certain things.
Definitely, and that's interesting. What brings me back to my Mars conundrum that I always had, that realistically, like in that game, particularly Mars, I always found there was basically only really one way to play to win. Like, nothing else really seemed to work. And it may be the case, and I absolutely hate it when a board game shoves me down one route to play, because I'm just like, well, you're just going through the motions then. And it doesn't really feel very satisfying, because I need to feel like I've earned my wins, through intelligence somehow, which may be like misguided, and sometimes it is just luck and stuff. But I don't like playing games where it feels very kind of scripted almost as to what you need to do.
I know what you mean. I think that game was called Martians, A Story of Civilization or something like that, which was in Kickstarter ages ago, and everyone complained about the rulebook not being very good, which it wasn't. And as I said, there was in a certain space that if you got there first, then you basically have won the game. So it's one of those.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, and I really wish it wasn't. I tried playing that game so many other different ways, like making kind of energy plants and wind farms. All sorts. The trouble is, none of it ever led to victory in any reasonable period of time compared to the one strategy that most people should be playing for. It's a shame though, because the thing I'd say about Euphoria, it is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love the feel for the game, and I really do get the faction element to it. And there really is a kind of that golden age sci-fi era where like the sub-Terrans have like their own thing going on with the water supply, and you know, the above ground people have their farms, and you know, and like the fact that you are kind of really dependent upon the other players like tunnels and stuff to kind of you don't want to advance up, because I mean I found it quite early on. I'm assuming that you and Jamie obviously both had Wastelanders as your active recruits.
We did, yeah.
And I felt you might have a second Wastelander possibly as your second recruit.
I got a Euphorian, but I wasn't paying too much attention to that. But I just thought if I go for two different ones, I might get more balance and more chance of getting extra stars potentially later on. So I was hedging my bets rather than putting everything in one pot. But yeah, again, there's probably different strategies there. But yeah, as you say, it does feel like if you don't get in on the markets and someone goes market heavy, then you know you're potentially going way behind, especially if that one market comes out. I think that was the biggest problem with that one market. If that one market hadn't come out that early in the game, I think you probably would have been a lot better able to use the Icarite markets up there. But because I came out early, as you say, you were then put right on your back foot from the start, and then I was just extending the lead further and further. And that, I think, you know, almost that market feels broken. Whereas the others, you know, if you roll a 6, something happens. Or if you roll a 3, something happens. Okay, it might happen, a bit of luck, but you can probably still carry on, and it might slow you down a bit. But that one seems very extreme.
Because you did mention it earlier, actually, as well. Interestingly, is when you were saying about playing on like the Wastelander tunnel to get the brick resourcing.
Yeah.
Or something similar, but I often found that the early, like, I think you need gold. I suppose you get the gold from the Euphorian tunnels, which I did do a couple of times, but
so it depends on the markets, which ones you want. But to get in on one of them, usually you can spend brick. So even for the Euphorian, if you get your marker on the brick space at the top there for the top market, then you can at least be in on that market. So I'm just saying that there is ways of potentially getting in on markets just by getting some, converting them more slowly rather than relying on the Icarite market that gives you 2 of those special resources early on. And even the sort of Sub-Terran have a space where you can put a brick, for example. So I'm just saying that is a way of getting potentially in on the markets. But as I think it's just that market that is so devastating. It just feels too overpowered, and it's, as far as I understand, it's luck as well. I don't think you place them specifically on specific cards. They're basically shuffled and dealt out, so you never know which is where. So you might be lucky and you reveal that space and that apothecary of productive dreams, and then you're in on it, and other players don't get a look in.
No, and I think as well, actually, and it's probably, and this just looking at it now, actually, to try and work out where I went properly wrong, in essence, I think it's the turnover is actually a huge part of it, because because I went first, especially, and this is probably unique to the free player version of the game, because I went first, I'm always, and unless I've rolled doubles, basically, I'm usually going to place my last dice before I recall my workers. And not having a dice in reserve, so if all my dice are on the board, then you and Jamie can see that, and because that's what I kept finding was every time you'd play on the play on one of the marketplaces, I wouldn't have any workers to allocate to it, so I'd be recalling my dice, and then if Jamie had a dice left, which he probably would do usually, I was always in a position, because that's I think the reason there was a couple of times where I just couldn't physically play on the marketplace. So like I had one round to get my workers back, and if Jamie didn't play on it or if you didn't play on it.
But that really just depends on who gets one of those special resources first. So if you'd gone straight for brick production, you could have placed your second worker, on the market, and then Jamie would have been able to potentially get his one onto the same mark, and then I would have been locked out. So I think it depends on who gets, converts those basic resources first, more than who necessarily goes first.
You can time it right.
Yeah.
So if I've seen someone play their last worker, I know that they're going to be recalling stuff next round, and I can probably just slip one of mine down and know that they're going to.
Yeah.
They may struggle. But yeah, it's interesting, because it does mean the turn order and kind of the number of workers you've got allocated or kind of in reserve are quite important.
Yes, definitely.
Well.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing. There's so many things to consider. And I think that's very overwhelming. But I do reckon when you play it a few more times, you sort of get to a point where you think, okay, I can formulate a strategy. It's just that one market, I think that's really spoiled this game, because, as I say, if you don't get in on it, then you can't really catch up, because you don't get the artifact cards easily unless you go to the Ichroid markets, which you can't because you've been locked out of this one. So that seemed very extreme. It almost feels like you should play without that one, maybe, unless, again, we only played it once and not even fully now. So maybe there's the reason why it is the way it is. Don't know.
Yeah, I'd say I definitely, I know what's going to happen is I'll kind of rant and rave about it for a few days, and also like in like a week's time I want to play it again, because I'm not happy that I didn't get it the first time, because it's always the way and stuff. And like I was exactly the same with that colonized Mars game. It was, I just kept running at it over and over again until I was like, right, I feel like I've exhausted this. I just don't like it, which is fine, because it may just be the mechanics of the game. Because with this, and I feel with this as well, particularly, I honestly feel like if they'd managed to condense everything somehow, it might have been, because there feels like a lot of crunchy mechanics going on.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily play friendly with one another, and it's just a lot to remember. And it just feels a bit clumsy to me, like personally, or at least it makes me feel clumsy playing it. Like I'm having to constantly reread everything to make sure I've remembered what disadvantages I've got from the marketplaces.
Yeah, I think,
and also, I don't. Yeah, games where there is a mechanic where you have to pass to retrieve your workers, I kind of find infuriating as well. It just feels like such. It's
almost you want to retrieve and still be able to place one, but I think that's probably in there intentionally, because, as you said earlier, you do have to time how many you retrieve and when you retrieve them. And I think that's actually one key mechanic which I quite enjoyed, because when I had 3 workers, I suddenly thought, well, hang on, I don't want to actually retrieve them all, because then I have 3 workers, and if I roll, too high numbers, then I have to lose one of those. So I might actually intentionally leave one on there. Okay, if I leave one on there, then obviously market is a great place to leave them on there, because you do want to leave them on there anyway. And those sort of things, I think that's another. But it's just, there's so many things to think about, which really I find overwhelming. It's like, okay, I have to think about which workers I want. When do I want them back? Who else has got their workers? What are they doing? What resources have they got? Which means, what are they potentially going to do next? And then what is my bonus from my recruit, which I've completely ignored basically all the game, because I just couldn't cope with it all. So it's just so much to think about. And as I think that... Go on.
I was going to say, I think with the workers, that's actually when the game got kind of marginally, like I started enjoying it a bit more, was when I got my 3rd and 4th. I got my 4th worker out briefly, I think, and then lost it almost immediately. But that's where you can kind of try and gain some traction and get some, to try and accelerate. Terra Mystica is another interesting game, and not Terra Mystica, Mystic Vale even, where you kind of, you can push your luck basically to try and improve your chances in your production, to try and catch up a little bit sometimes. And that definitely feels like what having 3 or 4 worker dice available is definitely very good for. And I wish that
And also where you place them, like those temporary spaces, I was literally at the end leaving my worker up there in the sky landing, whatever it's called. I can't read it from here. Because I thought, well, someone else will probably want to use that space, so they're going to bump me and I'll get my worker back for free and don't have to worry about anything. And it's those sort of things. And also I think a bit like in Scythe, where there's standard openings, the first 2 turns you take will probably be very similar every game you play them. I think there'll be something similar here, where you probably go, okay, I'm going to invest in water first so that I can then get my workers and my hearts, and then, do it that way. So there'll be similar things there. So, I don't know. I want to play it a few more times, definitely.
Yeah, I really do too, because as I say, it is absolutely gorgeous, as most of the Stonemaier games are, really, as always. But I think particularly so because it's a kind of a genre that I really enjoy, because I do love sci-fi and the golden age stuff with kind of Art Deco style influences and stuff. It's just gorgeous, and it does look lovely. I'm assuming the did you say you got a review copy?
So I've got a physical copy. So Stonemaier Games has a list of people that can add themselves as reviewers, and then you will hopefully eventually get an email offering a discount code for one of their games. So if in the US, you usually get that copy then for free or very cheap. If you're not in the US, you obviously then have to usually pay for shipping. So basically, I got 2 copies there. Jamie did a special offer for like 2 games with a huge discount. So I bought 2 games, but then obviously you have to then review them within a certain time frame. So that's one reason why I wanted to get this game played sooner rather than later. So I have a physical copy of it, and as I was sitting in front of it yesterday, reading the rule book, setting it up, and just starting to take turns, because you read the rule book and it's basically know everything you can do, but you still don't really understand why you're doing certain things. So I just literally had to start taking turns and go, okay, I'll do this. What happens now? Oh, I've got this resource now. What do I do with this resource? Oh, I can go here. Oh, actually, I need this resource. How I get it? And then after a few turns, like I guess you guys found as well, you realize, okay, actually, I need to do 3 different production phases, so to speak, to convert my resources and get them in the right place and do certain things. And then that interlocks with obviously different factions as well. So at first I thought, okay, it's leading you down a certain route, so your active recruit basically dictates which markers you're going to use. But then very quickly realized, well, no, actually, I also need to then use other tunnels and other markets and other generators and whatever farms to get the resources I need, even if I don't have a recruit for that faction. And then suddenly everything sort of seems to be interlocking, and you basically need to sort of spread yourself out a bit more to do things. So yeah, but I have a physical copy, so it's going to be available, and definitely if you can play it on Tabletop again, be appreciated as well.
Yeah, well, I think I look forward to it. And to be honest, I imagine we may end up playing this tomorrow night, really, with our usual gaming group, just as curiosity. But yeah, I definitely think knowing what I know, because I got a lot of food early on in the game, and in hindsight, that was probably a mistake, because it's, apart from being able to use the waste my own tunnel with it, which I assumed would be beneficial, in reality, it's not. Doesn't really seem to have, apart from being able to convert it. It seems quite easy to get, but also it's not really very beneficial for building much, basically.
No, it's good for retrieving your workers if you want more hearts, but eventually you have enough hearts, so you don't worry about that. And then with the tunnels, I was just saying, obviously, if you do get to the end and uncover that, obviously suddenly this wastelander space here gives you 3 energy, and only can be used by someone who has an active wastelander recruit. And that's probably the only reason why you are thinking about which recruit you might have and work towards that. But probably at the beginning of the game it doesn't really matter so much. It's more about getting an extra worker, getting your resources in place to get some markets out and things like that, and then push to get your miner all the way in the tunnel so that you can reveal that last space to then give you really lots of resources that that are valuable and that you can use. So
I think kind of between getting lots of food, and also interestingly, I think my first recruit actually wasn't necessarily very useful, because I could get benefit if I kind of kicked people out of the worker activation tank.
Okay.
But bizarrely, I don't think a lot of us, I was the only one that was particularly playing with a lot of workers. Jamie lost one early on, but he never really went above 2, so it wasn't. I don't think many people focused on getting many workers out, whereas, from a resource gathering point of view, it might be kind of beneficial too.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, and going back to some of the mechanics I did really enjoy, because I want to try and stay really positive. I really enjoyed the idea of when you get one of your workers, your high value dice pushed back onto you from the board because someone's played when you're square, and if you roll a 1, to me, I'm like, oh, that's great. Next round, I can pull all my other workers back and roll them all, and I know that I can get like all of them. And I know, fishing for multiples, like getting the doubles or the triples, so you can play multiple actions to speed your production up is, And also it kind of adds that wild card, especially like when you only need 2 dice or 2 resources to complete a marketplace. Being able to have a turn where you can play twice and just get a monopoly on the marketplace is just hugely game changing. So that's there's elements to it that I really did enjoy, and I was like, ooh, it just took us a while to get around all the goes, I think. But hopefully, again, the game will speed up the more experience we get with it. So.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things with the speed. One is overlapping turns. I think we should do. Like it was recommended in Scythe later, and I think that's probably something. It feels like Jamie learned it from this game and applied it later in Scythe. And then secondly, Tabletopia is just so much slower as well, because you do have to grab all these resources from all over the place. So a turn that might take just 5 seconds in real life takes like 20 seconds, just because you're dragging around and all that. So I think that's going to be important.
Heavy game tends to do that. And I find like bizarre. I think it seems to be like a common feature of the kind of the Stonemaier Games and stuff. Is they do seem to almost design them around having overlapping turns a bit. There can be a degree of as long as you've done everything on the board that might affect the other players, it doesn't matter when you're picking your resources up, really.
And even your knowledge rolls, you can roll your dice and move your knowledge. Remove your worker if you have rolled too high and stuff like that. You don't need to do wait for someone to finish that. You can just take your turn and they roll their dice, and if they're too high, they remove one worker, and that's it, done.
Yeah, definitely. Because interestingly, there were elements to it that kind of loosely, I don't know if they remind me of, but it felt kind of similar to Tapestry in some ways. There's 4 tracks again, and it's you're advancing on them to try and get certain key points. It's interesting.
There's lots
of
potential.
I look forward to playing it more. Yeah.
Right, I think we probably should finish it here. So so this was Euphoria by Stonemaier Games. I did a bit of a teach at the beginning. The stream will be on YouTube eventually. I might have to do a little bit of editing, but it will be probably up in a few days by the end of the week, I'd say. So thanks for Jamie, who has joined us and obviously has now had to go, which is fine. I felt sorry for him dragging this out. And thanks to Tom for joining us as well. Really appreciate you being on the stream again.
Yeah, that's all right. Hopefully I didn't sound too salty about it all. I don't like losing.
It's a first game as well. I think there's so much. It's just overwhelming. I think that's what it is. So it's fair enough, and we'll play it again. As I say, eventually I'll do a review. So keep an eye on that. And thanks very much for everyone in the stream, especially Russ from For Chits and Giggles. Really appreciate you joining us. And check out their YouTube channel and everything they do as well. So thanks very much. And all we have to say is goodbye. So it's a goodbye from Tom.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next Monday, no doubt.
And it's a goodbye for me. See you later. Bye.